What is happening, Star Wars fans? Welcome back to the channel. I am Dial, and welcome to the In-Depth D-Alysis podcast. What is the In-Depth D-Alysis podcast? It's literally my regular Dial podcast, and I just rebranded again. So that's pretty much it. Like, there's nothing really different with the show. I just renamed it to make it sound more appealing. So yeah, that's how it is. I know everyone's sick of my rebranding at this point. Oh my god, you're rebranding again? I want D-WIZZLE. Hashtag not my D-WIZZLE. I'm like, sorry, he's gone. You know, you have the archives to go look at. It's still on my channel if you guys want to see the D-WIZZLE stuff. But yeah, I'm DL now. But
Bro,
anyway,
you are still D-WIZZLE to me. I don't care. You could be DL, you could be LD. I don't care. You are still D-WIZZLE. I don't care.
All right. Do with it how you will, then. But yes, welcome to the In-Depth D-Alysis podcast. And today we are going back into a galaxy far, far away. We are finally back talking about Star Wars. I know, once again, we have some catching up to do. What else is new? So we're trying to catch up on these shows before this amazing show that's gonna come out soon, Andor, coming out. We gotta catch up before we watch that spectacular show. I'm sure everyone's excited for this show.
It has its fan base, and for whatever the fuck reason, whatever reason.
Yeah, because people love Rogue One so much. But,
who?
Who? Everyone, but everyone except us. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna be catching up, talking about some Star Wars shows. But today we ain't talking about Andor. Today we're gonna be talking about the book of Boba Fett. And joining with me today, obviously, I have my close friend and fellow YouTuber. We have Ruby Groovy.
Book of Boba Fett, or are we talking about Mandalorian?
Yeah, that's something we'll get into on this podcast.
Is it Book of Boba Fett? Is it about Boba Fett? Because we have a couple episodes that say otherwise.
I mean,
anyway, what's going on, guys? For those of you who have been trying to look at my YouTube channel to see if I'm posting any content, I'm sorry for not posting anything, but you know what? I'm gonna be done with school this week, it looks like, and at that point I'll be doubling down on trying to give you guys some content on YouTube and especially Twitch. So I'm working on it. Just wait on it. It's coming.
I probably should make a similar apology. I know there's been a hot minute that I haven't been releasing content. I'm so sorry. You guys know, there was a period where I was just shelling out content every other day, at least every other 2 or 3 days. So I was just pumping stuff out. But I had to take a mental and physical break because it was a lot, trying to keep up with all the shows and movies and stuff. And
we're humans.
Yeah,
we're not robots. We don't do this for money yet.
It'll be another thing if we could literally just quit our jobs and do this full time. But unfortunately, no, we haven't been monetized yet. We still got jobs outside of this. And also, there's a period where I wasn't feeling well for a couple weeks, so it's I had to take a break for that. But
people are gonna say COVID.
No, it's not COVID. It was flu. There's a difference. I'm good.
Almost as bad.
I mean, my stuff wasn't as severe, I wasn't feeling dead or anything.
Oh, okay.
It was a headache,
It was the same thing with me. I think when I had COVID, it wasn't oh, I'm gonna die. It's just, oh, I have COVID, so I just have to stay in for a couple of weeks. I still had taste. I still had smell. It was fine. Just give me some NyQuil. I'll be knocked out in 5 minutes.
Same.
We're good.
I did release a video recently. I did put out my spoiler review for Dragon Ball Super Superhero. If you guys haven't checked that out, check that out on my channel. And I'm going to get some more reviews out there for you soon. I haven't talked about Prey yet, so I want to talk about all the Predator movies.
Yeah, I heard that was actually pretty good.
Oh man, I can't wait to talk about it. And then also regarding this, you see us on camera. This is the first podcast that I have where we're on camera. So yeah, I'm gonna switch things up for the D-Alysis. There'll be some podcasts where we'll be on camera, and then there'll be some podcasts where we're not on camera. So you gotta tune in to see which ones there are. So yeah, I'm doing something special for you guys today.
Yeah, I would have shown up in a suit and tie today, but I feel like a couch potato, and I don't really feel like doing it. So you guys are gonna see me in a t-shirt. That's fine.
When have you ever showed up in a suit and tie?
For like an important event, probably, or like for graduation, like for a wedding. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really like the kind of like suit and tie kind of guy. I mean, they're nice. It's just I'm a couch potato. I don't do it.
Honestly, I don't like wearing suits either. You know, I wear them if I have to, you know, to impress the girls and stuff, or if I'm going to an event. But like other than that, no, I don't like wearing suits. I like me a good t-shirt and pants. You know, half the time I don't even like wearing jeans. I like wearing sweatpants sometimes. That's how I am.
Yeah.
So, as always, we got to remind the people out there that this is a spoiler-filled discussion. This show
it's been out for almost a year, though, so if you haven't seen it, then we probably know where you stand on the show.
Yeah, pretty much. You're just not going to watch it at this point if you haven't seen it. But you have been warned. If you don't want to know anything, go watch it on Disney Plus and come back and listen to this. So you have been warned. All right. Book of Boba Fett. So, I never thought I would get to this point where Boba Fett has become a character that I absolutely love, because I didn't give a shit about Boba Fett before the shows on Disney Plus. I think he is one of the most overrated characters. I thought at the time he was one of the most overrated characters in Star Wars. Like, going off of the original trilogy, he didn't do anything in the special editions, if you want to count those. The special edition of New Hope, he didn't do anything in Empire Strikes Back, and then he was wasted in Return of the Jedi. Like,
he did a thing or two in Empire. It's just not as
like he stood around and talked shit.
Yeah.
He stood around and talked shit. That's all he did. He didn't even shoot anything. Like, that's the extent. And then Return of the Jedi, when it looked like he was about to do something at that, the battle at the Sarlacc pit, he literally gets beaten by a joke death when Han Solo was blind, and then Chewie was like, and then Han was like, Boba Fett, where? And then he shoots his backpack, and then he says,
it's not even shooting. It's just he had a stick and then swung around to like just stab his backpack without even knowing that he was there.
Yeah, he falls into the Sarlacc pit, and that's your amazing bounty hunter, ladies and gentlemen.
And you still love that movie. Incredible.
Yes. Yeah, I still think it's the best Star Wars film. I still think it's the best Star Wars film. Come at me.
It's all good. It's all right. It's all right. It's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, even if it's wrong.
You know what? Whatever. And I'll put it out there again. I like The Rise of Skywalker. Suck my dick. Anyway. I don't care. I don't care.
Pain.
And at this point, I'm tired of arguing about Last Jedi. It's fine. All right? It's fine. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's whatever. Okay? That's all. I'm tired of arguing with people about it.
Pain.
The best sequel trilogy film is The Force Awakens, in my opinion. But anyway, and that's the best Disney film in the Star Wars era. The best Star Wars film in the Disney era, in my opinion, so far. So come at me. But anyway, enough of that. Boba Fett. So yeah. We know which movie.
Oh, you saw that? My bad.
We're on camera, by the way. Don't forget that. But anyway, Boba Fett. And I know people know the hardcore Star Wars fans, the purists, are about to say, but in the comic books, Boba Fett did this.
Okay, we don't care.
we don't care.
Literally, shut up.
That's great. For people that read the comics and the novels, okay, then I kind of see why you guys love this character. But for people that are going off of Empire and Return of the Jedi, I really don't understand why you guys love this character so much based off the films we got. But when the Disney shows came out and Mandalorian Season 2 came out, we got a surprise. Also before I say that, what I will say is in the prequels, I did like Tamara Morrison as Jango Fett, Boba Fett's dad. I actually really liked him in that. Now, he was underutilized in that as well. However, he still had way more to do than Boba Fett. He actually had action scenes. He actually played a part in the plot. He actually had like a presence, you know. So I really like Tamara Morrison as Jango Fett, and overall, I'm liking Tamara Morrison as an actor as well. I've liked him in other stuff that he's in. I liked him as in Aquaman. I think that's the only other thing I saw him in outside of that. I think there was other stuff I saw him in, but that was probably the ones I remember from the most. So I didn't think they were gonna bring him back, you know, to play like other clones in live action, like you know, Rex, or if they want to bring back Boba Fett or the other clones, because technically they can, because you know he's technically a clone. So it's like it would have been nice, you know, connect the prequels more to bring that actor back, but I didn't really expect for them to do that. But lo and behold, Mandalorian season 2, we got a surprise appearance from Boba Fett, played by Tamara Morrison, and I was actually very excited about that. But not only did it come back, he was so much better than how he was in the original trilogy. He actually had some badass stuff to do. He actually had a presence. Like, oh my god, like they totally revamped his character in The Mandalorian, and I was very happy about that. And I loved his dynamic that he has with Finnick as well. And also, we got to give kudos to who directed Tamara Morrison's Boba Fett in that episode, Robert Rodriguez. I did not expect for them to get Robert Rodriguez in a Star Wars property, but I was so glad he did. He did such a good job bringing Boba Fett back into the Star Wars universe, and it went over so well that you know that dang, what am I forgetting his name?
Tamara Morrison?
No. Who's running the shows right now?
Dave
Filoni.
Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau.
Yes. But it went over so well that Dave Filoni was like, you know what? We're gonna let you run a Boba Fett show. And we all remember that big credit stinger at the end of Mandalorian season 2, where Boba and Finnick went to Jabba's palace, and Bib Fortuna was taking over after Jabba's death. But then Boba Fett came in and shot him dead, and just took over Jabba's palace. And then it said Book of Boba Fett coming later this year. I'm like, oh really? And we didn't have to wait too long for the show either. Literally coming later on in the year after Mandalorian season 2, so we didn't have to wait too long. I was like, oh wow. So they already had a plan. They already knew what they had with Boba Fett, you know, for the beginning. So they're like, we're just gonna greenlight it now because we know that Boba Fett's gonna go so over in Mandalorian season 2. So I was very happy about that. And what I'm also was very happy about, that letting Robert Rodriguez run the show, it could possibly give Disney more incentive to let Robert Rodriguez possibly do an Alita Battle Angel 2. That was one of my hopes, at least. That they see how good he did with the Star Wars stuff. They'll be like, okay, you know what? You did so well for us. We're gonna let you do Alita Battle Angel 2. We're gonna greenlight it. We're gonna give you as much money as you need, and we're gonna let you do it. So that was fingers crossed, at least for me. So
I figured that's why you liked Robert Rodriguez, by the way, because I just looked him up and I saw, what did he do? Alita Battle Angel. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I mean, I not only like, yeah. I mean, I'm not only a fan of Alita Battle Angel, but I also really enjoyed
Spy Kids.
Yeah,
he did Spy Kids. He did The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It's great kids movies.
Great is a strong word.
Well, again, great for kids movies.
Yeah, I guess the kids will have
kids
fun.
Movies. As movies, yeah, they're just fine.
They're something.
And they're popcorn fun.
Right. And
they're Taco Bell films.
Taco Bell films. That is the perfect way to describe it.
They are. They're not good, but like you enjoy them.
Yeah, your guilty pleasures, I guess.
Yes.
And then he also produced and wrote the Predators film in 2010, which I really enjoyed. And then he also did that what was it, that collab, the movie collab stuff that he did with Quentin Tarantino back in the day, where
Planet Terror.
the Planet Terror stuff. And then he also recently did on Netflix We Can Be Heroes, which is apparently like a sequel movie to Shark Boy and Lava Girl universe. So yeah, he's been busy. I'm personally more of a fan of his adult stuff. You know, I did enjoy the first 3 Spy Kids movies that he's done. But everything after that, as you said, they're guilty pleasures, but like as far as writing and effects wise, the story, they're messy. So I didn't expect for James Cameron to tap him for Lead a Battle Angel, but that turned out to be really, really good. And then once again, didn't expect Dave Filoni to tap him for Star Wars, and we saw how good that was. So hopefully, you know, with this show coming out, it'll be great, and it'll give him more, you know, projects for Robert to do, and Lead a Battle Angel 2. We was all hoping for the best. But of course, we were excited to see what Boba Fett would do after Mandalorian, where he would go from there. Because I'm sure a lot of people that were hardcore Boba Fett fans, they were like, we want to see standalone stuff with him. We want to see Avengers with him. I think at the time they were trying to do a Boba Fett movie, but then it fell through because Solo bombed. So they were like, oh, we're afraid to do movies right now. So, and of course the reception of Rise of Skywalker as well.
Or just the sequels.
The sequels in general, yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. But anyway, I'll take whatever I can get. Show wise, you know, I'll take them as a show. Just as long as we see more of Boba Fett, I'm excited. So we sat down and watched this thing, and what did I think? Overall, I like the show. I like it. I know that it's been getting a lot of hate from the Star Wars community. You know, the people think this is probably the worst show that Star Wars has put out so far. I guess as far as the Disney era stuff, I probably would agree. This is probably the weakest show they put out. But do I think this is the worst show ever that Star Wars has put out? No, far from it. I think it's a competently made show. I think there's some really good things in the show, actually. And there was actually a couple of points while watching this where I was thinking, this could possibly be just as good, if not better, than The Mandalorian. But this show is all over the place. It is all over the place. I will say, I think, like I said, there's a lot of good ideas in this show, and I think Robert contributed some unique things as far as the direction and the flavor of Star Wars. Like this, as far as tonal wise, for the most part, excited for like 2 or 3 episodes. For the most part, this didn't feel tonally the same as Mandalorian, at least in my opinion. It felt like it had a little bit more edge to it. It felt like it had a little bit more grit. And as far as the performances, for the most part, I thought it was really good. Tamara Morrison as Boba, I once again think he's great in this show, and we got to see a little bit more from him, development-wise, and we got to see a little bit more of his psyche in the show. And I love that we're adding more to the chemistry that he has with Finnick. This is probably some of the best stuff of the show, is the chemistry between those two. The action, I think there's some really good action set pieces in this show that I was jumping on my seat being like, oh my god, this is freaking cool, this is awesome. But as I said, as far as the direction of this show, it feels like it doesn't know what it wants to be. Like, it almost feels like that they weren't confident in the character of Boba Fett fully. Like, it almost feels like they weren't confident that he could carry an entire show. And that's where I feel like that was their mistake, because coming off of how he was in Mandalorian Season 2, I feel like he can carry his own show. I think there's enough there with him where I feel like he can elevate it by himself. But, like, it just feels like we're diverging into other plot points that aren't as important, or doesn't have anything to do with Boba Fett himself. And then it doesn't know if it wants to tell like a present day story, or if it wants to tell his backstory. And they try to mix the two together and it just doesn't flow. They're trying to do like the Man of Steel type of storytelling where, like they do flashbacks and then they go to present day, then they go to flashbacks and then present day, and it just doesn't flow. Now, the biggest thing I heard from people that like slightly defend this show, where this doesn't really, for me, it doesn't fully feel like a Boba Fett show. It feels like a Mandalorian spinoff. And I'm like, that's not how this is not how it should feel. This is a Boba Fett show. And for the people that slightly defend the show, they're like, well, he came off of Mandalorian, so yeah, it should feel like a spinoff of Mandalorian, because it's coming off of that. And you guys are happy about that? Especially for people that love the character of Boba Fett so much before the Mandalorian? You guys are just okay with it being just a spinoff of Mandalorian? And I felt like that's what hurt the show. Because the Mandalorian took over when his episode came in. We'll get to that when we get there. But it felt like he took over. And it wasn't about Boba Fett anymore. All the way till the last episode. When he showed up, he took over. And that disappointed me so much. But yeah, overall, I would watch, if you ask me, would I watch the show again? Yeah, sure. There's enough good stuff in the show where it's I don't mind watching certain parts again, because when the show is good, it's really, really good. But there are still some really dim-witted decisions in this show that I wish they didn't make, and I wish the show was more focused. Robert, what happened? What is going on? What were you thinking about some of the decisions that you made? Dave, did you look at this? Did you not talk to Robert that was like, I don't know, we should do this, man. We should probably change that. Or you know what? I think Dave was probably the one that was like, okay, we'll let you do what you want with the show, but we need you to put Mandalorian and Grogu and all this other stuff in these episodes. We need you to put it in there. And Robert's like, okay, fine, that's cool. I feel like that was a Dave Filoni move with Mandalorian being as involved as he was in the show. That's just my thoughts on it. But anyway, that's my preamble about Book of Boba Fett. It's flawed, but I thought it was a solid watch. But that's how I feel about it. Ruby, please tell us, what did you think about the Book of Boba Fett? Was this a solid read for you?
Honestly, well, to be honest, you did kind of hit the nail in the coffin a lot with some of the points I was going to bring up. Most notably, well, for one, the show doesn't really know what it wants to be, where we're going back and forth between his present day times and the times where he was able to escape out of the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi, which I guess raises my first question. Why is this dude still alive? I get that this is maybe what he would be like if he were able to somehow escape from something that ate him alive. But I feel like something like that, extreme, would probably kill someone. Don't you think? So his return in the very first episode, I'm already lost. Because it just didn't feel like the way that it didn't feel coherent. It didn't feel like something that I would be invested to get involved with. As far as the normal story goes, main story honestly is okay. I will give it that. The main the main debate between Boba and some of the other people that invade his village, and Boba's purpose of wanting to make a better place for people, I like that, and I like his I guess character growth through the series and how he ends up changing from being typical bounty hunter to someone that actually cares, and he's not just a bad guy. He's just only doing what he does for his job. as far as like show making goes, I don't blame this on Robert Rodriguez because he only directed 3 of the episodes out of the 7. And he didn't write any of these episodes. It was all Jon Favreau.
Oh.
And well, I guess there was one episode where it was Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and it was probably one of the, I guess, better episodes, but it still had many problems.
Oh.
Yeah. So I can't say that I blame this on Robert Rodriguez, even though I'm not huge on his stuff. Like I said, Spy Kids and Shark Boy and Lava Girl are fun kids movies. They're fun Taco Bell films.
You have not seen Alita Battle Angel yet.
I still haven't seen Alita Battle Angel. I'm so sorry. But it'll happen eventually. I hear very mixed stuff on Battle Angels, so I do want to give it a shot at some point because it does look cool, and I like the main actress in that film as well because I liked her in Maze Runner.
Yeah.
So I want to give it a shot. So again, I don't blame this on Robert Rodriguez. I more so blame it on Jon Favreau. What is he doing with this writing? Because he does fine with The Mandalorian, so keep him on The Mandalorian. You know, Dave Filoni, I guess, like, Dave Filoni is probably going to be, like, the new George Lucas of Star Wars, probably.
Oh, please don't say that. Please don't say that.
Honestly, it probably kind of is. Probably will be. And I won't be upset about it because the Clone Wars did get better over time. Even if it still, like, has its flaws. And, you know, I liked the one episode that Dave Filoni directed. So, you know, I'm interested to see where they go from there. As far as, like, this show goes, though, they're adding too much stuff to it to make us feel like it's worthy of a Disney Plus show. When if you remove all of it, even the Mandalorian stuff, this is a 2 to 2.5 hour film.
I was about to ask you that. Do you feel like this would have been better suited as a movie?
They need to get. Honestly, I understand why they don't want to make movies right now because, again, the poor reception of, you know, the sequels as a whole, as even if they just raked in money from making those films, and the poor reception and bad performance of Solo really kind of hurt them and kind of like hurt them and hurt their mentality a little bit. And they kind of saw Mandalorian doing really good, especially with in seasons 1 and 2, and said, you know what, we're gonna try and keep up with this format because people love this stuff. People started to get mixed about Book of Boba Fett. That's a red card because you could tell they want to make movies. They really do. Yeah. I want them to make movies.
Me too.
I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like the movies are probably the strongest aspect of Star Wars. We don't need the comics. We don't need the shows, honestly. Let's be real here. We don't need them to be shows. Unless it's like Clone Wars needed to be a show. The Clone Wars needed to be a show because it came out as a movie, didn't work out, and then it became a show, and then it just got better over time. So that needed to be a show. But we still didn't need it. Like, in the overall grand scheme of things, we didn't need the Clone Wars.
Well, I argue we do need the Clone Wars at the time because of the poor reception of the prequels, and it helped expand the universe as much as it did. I don't know if you could do all that in a two-hour movie, all the development they did, you know?
Yeah, I guess, but like at the same time, like if that's what they were wanting to go for, the Clone Wars movie did worse than the prequels.
Yeah, that's why that movie should never happened. But you know,
so the movie shouldn't have happened, right? I thought it was a bad idea for it to be a movie. Yeah. It should have just been a 4-episode arc of just them doing a show.
Yep.
So like there are some properties where like this should be a show, but still, we don't necessarily need to focus on the shows. We don't need to focus on the comics or any of that stuff. The movies are the strongest aspect of Star Wars. Like, we can't argue about this. All of the movies have a fan.
Well, you might
Every movie has a fan.
you might get some debaters about Mandalorian because some people say that's one of the best things in Star Wars.
I know,
right now.
And even then, I still think that the Mandalorian is just okay. Because like there's the scope of it, I will give you, is grand. It's massive, and it makes you feel like you were a part of like being on this planet or being on like this journey with the Mandalorian. But even that show has its flaws. I think the action is weak. Personally, not many people want to agree with me. I get it. I think I personally think that the action in The Mandalorian is weak. And unfortunately, that stuff got carried over to Book of Boba Fett, which I think is another part of Book of Boba Fett that was just not that great. Because it felt like, you know, I've seen stuff from like, you know, the sequels, even in The Rise of Skywalker. I'm not a fan of The Rise of Skywalker. I've seen action in The Rise of Skywalker, and I compare it to Book of Boba Fett. I would just rather watch the stuff in Rise of Skywalker. Honestly. Even if it's just like Rey and Kylo Ren just doing the same damn move like 5 times each battle, it's literally just the same thing of them swinging like baseball bats at each other, which should not work. And it didn't really work. But it's still better than what we got in Book of Boba Fett. Because at least the stuff in Rise of Skywalker, like, you felt emotion in their attacks. You know, in Book of Boba Fett, it's just like, okay, we have to fight. Punch, punch. Clone Wars movement. They're trying to, like, translate, like, the Clone Wars action into live action. And it doesn't work. It didn't work for me in The Mandalorian, and it doesn't work for me in Book of Boba Fett even more. Even in the one episode with Luke Skywalker, which I thought personally the Luke Skywalker bits were the best parts of the show, and he's only in it for like 20 minutes. Probably not even then. Boba Fett is a good enough character, right? Like, we can agree that Boba Fett is better than what he was originally.
Absolutely.
But by the time we got to episode 5, where we got introduced to Mandalorian, which is another point I wanted to bring up, the show is just, it just got rough. It got rough. And ironically enough, Bryce Dallas Howard directed it, and I wasn't a fan of the episode. Again, like, I remember talking about this with you one day, where like, if Bryce Dallas Howard directs like some major blockbuster,
if he gets a Star Wars movie,
like a major Star Wars movie or something, I'm gonna bust a gut, because she hasn't made anything that I liked.
So even like in the Mandalorian episodes that she directed, you weren't a big fan of those either?
Honestly, I forgot about them.
So like in the season 1, she directed the one with where Mando was helping the villagers against that ATST, and then in season 2 she directed the Bo-Katan episode.
They're just like, don't put her on for they're fine as episodes, but that shouldn't solidify as a reason why she should be directing major blockbuster stuff. They're just okay episodes. I thought that the Village episode was fine. I thought that the Bo-Katan episode was okay. But are those like reasons to make her direct some major blockbuster?
Because she understands Star Wars, man.
She understands like some semblances of it, but then she goes to make Chapter 5 of Mandalorian, and I hated it. Well, I didn't hate it. I averagely disliked it.
So okay, hold on. So let me ask you this then for that episode. I know you guys are skipping ahead. We didn't even get to detail about it yet. But
yeah.
If this wasn't a regular episode of The Mandalorian, would you still feel the same way?
If it was a Mandalorian episode, it would probably be okay at best. So like the episode in Book of Boba Fett, not so much. Probably. So I guess, okay, so probably maybe Bryce Dallas Howard is not like the one to blame for this episode. It's more so like the episode existing.
Lily, I think it was a play on Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Was like, you have to have this Mandalorian episode in here.
It was. I don't understand why they're doing that. They should have just made us wait until They give us the Mandalorian. They should have waited until the end of this season to give us a Mandalorian season 3 announcement. That would have worked. You would have given like maybe one scene of Mandalorian doing something awesome with the Darksaber, and like you see him like progressing with the Darksaber, or maybe he's not like fully developed with the Darksaber, whatever. But you show him doing a clip of that like at the very end of the season, and then promote season 3 of Mandalorian. That would have been fine, because we get reintroduced to, well, not reintroduced, we get familiarized, or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But we get back to the idea of, Boba Fett and Mandalorian were actually together at one point.
Yeah.
And so, like, that would have been fine, but to give Mandalorian his own arc in someone else's show. They even gave Grogu and Luke Skywalker their own, like, arc.
Yeah, and then, the Luke Skywalker episode felt like something that, not even a Mandalorian episode, it feels like something that they were saving for the Ahsoka show that didn't even come out yet.
Yeah, that's another thing. I feel like they're trying to, like, set up too many things for, like, future shows, but they're not even focusing on, like, the main aspect of the story. They introduce it and, like, explain it slightly in, like, their first few episodes, but then they say, we need to start promoting these other shows, so we need to have episodes only dedicated to these guys, which is where Chapter 5 for Mandalorian came in, and Chapter 6 for Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker came in.
It literally feels like, I think, and I've heard this comparison many times before, it's like, it feels like Star Wars is trying to copy the formula of Marvel and have everything interconnected.
Yep. Which, you can't do that with Star Wars.
You can't.
You can't. It doesn't work the same way as Star Wars. Okay, I swear to God, I'm gonna try and make sure my head doesn't explode. Star Wars is not a comic book.
It's not.
It is not. It is a theatrical experience that you're supposed to enjoy in the theaters. You don't just enjoy it at home. You get your first reactions of it in the theaters. That's what Star Wars is. Why is no one taking notes?
I think
Kathleen, what is happening?
Dude, I think they're aware of that. However, I feel like Lucasfilm and Disney, and not only with that, other studios as well. The streaming wars, the streaming wars. They have to make content for their streaming services, and that means they have to use the biggest properties that they have and turn it into shows. So that's why I don't think so much. I mean, because I think they understand that Star Wars is a movie experience. They know that. However, they need to make shows for their streaming service to gain subscribers. So that's the only thing. Lord of the Rings just came out with a prequel series. So it's like, and I argue that's another thing too. Lord of the Rings is a theatrical experience as well. Like, that's not something you just watch on TV too, And right. I'm pretty sure, and like DC is doing the same thing too. Even though you could argue more that DC, could be more of a show because they, the animated universe back in the day and stuff like that. So that's
we already know where we stand on DC, because Warner Brothers is not being very kind to DC people, especially with the cancellation of the Batgirl show.
Yeah, so. And then I would not be shocked if the Wizarding World is next, where they make shows for that as well.
Yeah, because they're also Warner Brothers. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
Overall, yeah. Book of Boba Fett, honestly, is by far definitely the worst of the Star Wars Disney Plus shows that we've gotten in recent years. I wouldn't say that, like, I guess it is, like, one of the worst, like, pieces of Star Wars media that we've gotten in a little while. I don't think it's not like Rogue One bad or like Solo bad, right? But like it honestly has its faults to the point where, like, there are some bits in the show where, like, I will go back to watch it. Like the Luke Skywalker stuff, again, like, is the best part of the show, but it's on a character that's not the main front runner character of the show. Like, I'm supposed to like Boba Fett more than anybody else, really. But even he's just like a pretty average character. but even then, I guess like average is better than whatever he was in the original trilogy. But like, yeah, I just think that like this definitely should have been a movie. It definitely should have. But even then, I don't even know if like the movie would have done much. I guess it would have done better because you wouldn't have to worry about all of like those other side quests or his good like insanely unnecessary like backstory of him being brought back or whatever that took like maybe 2 hours for us to get through. It felt like
Honestly, like when it came to when the spin-off shows were first starting, like people were more excited for a Boba Fett movie than a Han Solo movie. So I feel like the fan turnaround would be more for Boba if it was a movie. And also it's like there's a lot more possibilities you could do with Boba Fett as far as like him being a bounty hunter and him possibly doing with the underground type of world of Star Wars. Like that's something that's not really like as, you know, as fleshed out as, you know, as stuff we've seen from other Star Wars media. So I think there would have been a turnaround for that, maybe.
Yeah, there was like in this show, I will give there was potential for it to be like a good show. And when they started talking about like the very big conflict that's going to be happening throughout the show with like the war in the village, I honestly was interested to see where they would go with it. And then Mandalorian came in.
Yeah, it literally just felt like that's when it was about to rile up that battle in the village. It literally felt like it went to a complete when Mandalorian came in. And like, anyway, we'll get to that. We'll save our thoughts when we get there. But
also,
yeah.
Cad Bane makes an appearance in the show for whatever reason.
I actually was really happy about that. We'll get to that when we get there too.
He looked awful, and I think
I did not think he looked awful.
Honestly, for me, I thought he looked awful, and I thought that his appearance was awful. I was so confused.
Oh like, my god!
What is he doing? Like, go away!
Oh man,
we don't need this. This is Marvel being Marvel in Star Wars.
Oh, I thought
don't need this.
I thought it was great. We'll get to that when we get there. That's
also the way that he died in the last episode. Okay, we'll get to it. But
yeah. That okay. So that's okay. But yeah. So I definitely agree with you. Like this, and then another show we're gonna get to in the near future, I think would have been better suited as movies. But
everyone knows that we're talking about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, we all know this is Obi-Wan.
Let's be honest.
People in suspense. What other show you guys would you be talking about? But okay. So we're going to go episode by episode with this, and as always, there will be timestamps down below if you guys want to skip to a certain episode you want to hear us talk about. You guys probably already noticed it by now when we started the podcast. So there you go. But anyway, let's get into as soon as this thing starts loading. Sorry, had the episode.
Are you loading up the Wikipedia?
Yes.
I have it right here. It's Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land.
Directed by Robert Rodriguez. So, Boba Fett, we start out with Boba Fett barely escaping the Sarlacc pit, as we established, and don't do the best job of explaining how he broke out, but I mean, they establish it at least. At least that's something I'm glad that they established, because like that's what everybody was wondering. How did he just survive the Sarlacc pit? And they gave an explanation. Not the best one, but anyway. So after he escapes the Sarlacc pit, he's left for dead, and then Jawas steal his armor. Dang, this damn Jawas.
Jawas being Jawas.
Jawas being Jawas, man. And then he's captured by Tusken Raiders and fails to escape from their camp when he attempts to escape. And then 5 years later, Fett and Finnick have taken over Jabba's palace as they established at the beginning. So we wake up with him coming out of the his Bafta tank, and get used to that Bafta tank because you'll be seeing a lot of that in this show. And so they receive tribute from local other like heads of the underground, like syndicates or whatever, and whatever services that they have on Tatooine or whatever, they give him tributes, and which are rewards and stuff like that. And then Fett and Finnick visit the sanctuary, which is this cantina in Mos Espa, and then they also offer him tribute. And then when they leave the cantina, a group ambush them and try to kill them, and then they fight off the assassins or whatever. And then they end up brutally injuring Boba Fett, and then they eventually bring him back to the Bacta tank for him to recoup. And then we go back to the flashbacks with him being captured by the Tusken Raiders, and then it leads to this subplot where Fett remembers the Tuskens forcing him to dig for black melons or whatever, for water or whatever refreshments that they have. And then they're eventually attacked by a giant creature called the Rodian, which is like this Mortal Kombat like 4-armed creature that looked like Goro with a mixture of lizard or whatever, like this giant creature. And then Boba Fett ends up killing the creature, and then he ends up saving one of the Tusken children or whatever, and then that's how he gains respect for the tribe. And that's that episode. So what are your thoughts on this one?
There's way too much happening here.
There sure is. Like reading off of that synopsis, I'm like, dang, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. I'm like,
I was hearing you like talking about like half of the stuff that you just talked about. I honestly just forgot that it even happened. And like, again, the main story plot is good enough. We could stick with that in a 20-minute episode. We don't need. How long were these episodes? Like an hour each?
They're like 40 to 50 minutes long.
You could cut half of that runtime and just dedicate it to just Boba Fett in like present day times. Just get rid of the Bacta tank flashbacks. Yeah, get rid of. Well, Bacta tank can only be good for one scene, and it was only good in this one. They just need to trim down the backstories, dude. They could easily trim down this backstory in like an episode, in like 20 minutes.
Honestly, I wish that's what they did. Have an entire episode dedicated to, with him being raised by the Tusken Raiders, escaping the Sarlacc pit, and then move forward.
Not even that. Just like have that just be like the opening of the show, and then just kick off with him going off to do Boba Fett stuff for the village.
Yeah.
That's all of the backstory that you need, because you could set up the connection with his backstory and the later parts of the season. So like why would you tell that in like 3 to 4 different episodes? I'm like trying to find words as to like why I'm even asking this in the first. Why do I have to ask this? Why are we doing this?
I mean, yeah, like, honestly, there should have been more than 2 episodes dedicated to his backstory. Like I think there was like 3 to 4 episodes where they kept going back to where he was raised by the Tusken Raiders. Now, story-wise, I understand why they did that, because the Tusken Raider stuff eventually connects to the stuff with the Pike Syndicate. So that's why it was drawn out as much as it did, because it eventually connected to them. I understand why they did that, but there was still a lot of stuff that was unnecessary for us to see. There was still a lot.
It was, yeah.
But outside of that, okay, so one of my complaints that I had with the previous shows is how the Tusken Raiders were utilized. I felt it was kind of silly how they were handled in like Mandalorian and stuff like that, especially with the sign language shit they were doing. I was like, this is really silly. This is taken away from how scary and intimidating of a presence the Tusken Raiders are. And I know like Filoni and Favreau's idea was to show a different side of the Tusken Raiders, that not all of them are bad, which, that's not a bad idea. I just felt it was silly how they came across. But what I will say, I think the Tusken Raiders were better utilized in Boba Fett. You didn't see all the stupid sign language going on. There wasn't silly antics going. Well, okay, actually, there was a couple of silly antics in this show, but it's like what I actually liked. What I actually liked was there's different classes of tribes with the Tusken Raiders. They're like there was a head chief, there was the warriors, there was the the gatherers for resources. So I liked that there was different types of tribes that it was going on. So it gave another level to the Raiders that we haven't seen before. That I thought actually felt that it fit in the world of Star Wars that they established. So I thought that was cool, and I thought it was interesting that that they took Boba Fett under his wing eventually. Well, actually, we haven't gotten to those episodes yet, but I guess I'm gonna skip forward. That I do like the eventual them training Boba Fett to become like a warrior and stuff like that. I thought that was interesting, and like his calling to gaining respect is him defeating that creature, whatever. What I think some of the more exciting parts of the show is when like creatures just randomly show up. I think it's some of the most exciting set pieces of the show, and that was one of them. Now, was it random? Absolutely. It came out of nowhere. This Mortal Kombat character just coming in and like, I'm gonna fight you. I'm like, okay, yeah, that was random, but I still thought it was cool. It caught me off guard. That was nice. And then as far as like the stuff in present day, it was all right. It was all right. He's just getting a bunch of gifts and tributes, and that was the episode. I guess establishing that Boba Fett's in charge now. He's the head of everything now. So I guess they had to establish that, but...
Well, I think didn't in this episode, or maybe it was in the next episode, maybe it was in the next one, but like some people were questioning like how he's, or like why he's so different to Jabba.
Oh yeah, because he's not as ruthless or quick to kill people when people, get on his nerves or. Like,
yeah, he's not like a threat or anything like that.
I mean, he's a threat, but he's just not going to kill just because,
Right.
He has more patience. I think that's what they're trying to say. He's trying to be more of a diplomatic underground boss, which I kind of like that. That he's not just going to be a ruthless killer just because. That gives him more development because, coming off of him just being a bounty hunter and that's it. So it gives him more dimension. That's cool. Mm-hmm. But as the episodes went on, I feel like that kind of hurt him because it eventually kind of made him a little bit. It hurts me to say this, but it kind of made him a little bit soft. A little bit.
I mean, at the same time, that's what he kind of is. Like, if you, like, pay attention a little bit to it a little more, that's what he kind of is. Like, he only kills, like, only for, like, his sake. Or, like, he only does things, like, in case things don't go his way or something. Like, that was his bounty hunter days.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. I was just hoping, like, maybe, and I was thinking maybe we'll get this later on in the episodes. Like we'll see. Like yes, he wants to be a more diplomatic underground leader, but at the same time, it's like I wanted them to establish like if you mess with Boba Fett, you will still get wrecked with. So I just want to see a little bit more edge with him. Which there were some examples.
People want to see him kill people.
I mean, like I say, he doesn't got to go on a murder spree, but it's like just to establish like he won't hesitate to kill you if he needs to, which I guess they kind of did, but like I just needed a little bit more. But okay, so one other character in this episode that ends up being a recurring character in the show, who I thought was the absolute worst in the show.
God, I already know who you're talking about.
I don't even know his name, but it's that dude with the two tentacle things on their head, and he is like he's talking all proper and stuff like that, and blah 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 blah. Let me figure. What is this motherfucker's name?
I honestly, it's not the droid.
I don't even care. I'm sure people in the comments are gonna be like, it's this guy whoever cares. But like y'all know who we're talking about. That diplomatic dude that was like representing the mayor or whatever. Like I'm think Ruby's looking it up. But that dude.
I am. I think it's I think his name is Twi'lek.
Twi'lek. We'll go with that.
Whatever
Twi'lek.
his name is. What?
Yeah.
Who?
This dumb character?
What even are you?
Yeah, he was so annoying. He was so annoying. Like what? And he is a recurring character in the show. It's not just a one-off. He's actually part of the posse of Boba's posse. He ends up being part of the group, and I'm like, why? He does nothing. Oh my god. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this episode. Is there anything else you want to say before we move on?
Let's just keep it going.
Yeah, just keep it going.
There's not really much to talk about here. It's just like it's establishing the world of like Boba Fett being like the new like main guy running the town and all this other stuff. And I think they established like the main conflict of the show in the next episode. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing I'll say before we move on. It's really weird how inconsistent, how tough they make certain characters. Like there'll be one point where they're taking out a bunch of guys like with ease, and then there are other points where they get stabbed a couple of times and they're down. And this is one of the parts, like when the assassins were taking down Boba, and it's like they stabbed him like on the side and maybe on the leg or whatever, and it's like, oh, he's too weak, take him to the Bacta tank. Like he's gone through a lot worse than that.
He takes one hit and he has to be taken to a hospital bed.
Like, I know he's old, but it's like he's not like decrepit. Like I don't understand that.
Like, keep him out of this. He's gonna get more wrinkles from sitting in that Bacta tank.
Like, I'm surprised. Yeah, Tamara Morrison looks pretty good for his age too, I'll say. I mean, he does have a little bit of a dad bod, we'll give him that, but it's like he's still badass.
People don't care.
People don't care.
People like that in this day and age.
Yeah, dad bods are in, apparently. All right, so moving on to Chapter 2. The Tribes of Tatooine, directed by Seth Green. I've never heard of this director at all.
Nope.
If you want to look up what he did, you can. I don't with whatever. But so Fett and Finnick interrogate one of the captured assassins, and he claims to be hired by the mayor of Mos Espa, and so.
Oh yeah, I know this episode. You keep going for like a solid minute. I'm gonna run it. You can keep it going. I just gotta run to the bathroom real quick. You can keep it running. Keep it running.
Sure. Let me just solo layout real quick until he comes back. Okay, so the mayor denies that they sent the assassin there, but he offers payment to Fett for capturing the assassin, and he suggests that they visit the sanctuary to get answers for the assassination. And so Philip informs Fett that okay, so I think that's the Philip is the droid, I think. Yeah, that white droid, whatever. So he informs that Jabba's cousins, the twins, that they're called the twins, they have arrived. You know, in Mos Espa, like just out of nowhere they show up, and they want to make claim to Jabba's throne, and of course, you know, Boba's not going to hand it over because you know he believes that it's his after he killed Bib Fortuna, who was the ruler of that at the time. And so the twins arrived with a warrior Wookiee called Black Krrsantan. Black Krrsantan. I'm sorry, guys. Like I always mix up this Wookiee's name, but Black Krrsantan. And they try to intimidate Fett to surrender the throne, and of course he's not going to do that. And so the twins just leave him alone because they're like, killing him. We don't want to kill him right now. It's not good for business, I guess. And so they leave him alone. But of course, they warn Boba to watch his back. So of course, they're probably going to try to assassinate him when he's not, when he's not aware of it, or. So of course, we go back to the tank, and we go back to another flashback where the Tuskens are teaching him combat with the the staff or whatever that that the Tuskens do. Oh, Ruby's back. Hold on, let me put it back to exit solo layout. There,
Oh, that's cool.
back.
That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of features here on StreamYard. But anyway, so another flashback with Fett in the Bacta tank where the Tuskens are training Fett how to with combat and stuff like that, and survival skills in the desert. And then the tribe is eventually attacked by the Pike Syndicate. And it's like they attack them on this this train that goes in the desert, this hover train. And so Fett goes to this bar and beats up a bunch of gangs or whatever, and then he steals a bunch of their speeder bikes, and then he teaches the Tuskens how to ride them, and they're eventually going to use the bikes to stop the Syndicate's train and stuff like that. And then after they help, after Fett and the Raiders stop the Pike Syndicate on the train, the Tuskens give Fett this lizard, and it's supposed to guide them to this tree in the desert. And the lizard goes in the Fett's nose, I guess, because it's supposed to psychedelically show him the pathway to this tree, so he can get a branch, and so the Tusken Raiders can carve out a staff weapon out of that tree. So I guess that's a rite of passage for them. And then there's this whole ceremony where the Tuskens accept him fully as one of his tribes, and he gives them the robes and stuff like that, and then he becomes one of them. So that is the episode. What are your thoughts on it?
It's everything in the first episode, except now we're just making it weird. Like, why do we have a lizard that guides us to a tree? What?
Yeah, was this necessary?
Am I watching Star Wars?
I mean, there's some weird stuff that happens in Star Wars,
I know, but like a lizard that guides you to a tree.
I mean, I'll take that over the slimy tentacle thing in Rogue One. that's supposed to make you tell the truth. Like,
this is Star Wars' way of Wonder Woman.
God damn. And secretly their way of into hentai, but we don't talk about that. Anyway, but yeah, this once again goes to show that there are some good ideas in this show, and the story is not bad. It goes somewhere eventually, but you just have a bunch of unnecessary plot points that we don't need to see. We don't need to see them put a lizard in Boba Fett's nose for him to go to this random tree in the desert so he can make a staff out of one of the branches. You literally could cut that entire portion out and it still would be the same.
Literally, that lizard reminded me of that Decepticon or robot thing from Revenge of the Fallen.
Oh yeah.
That goes into Sam Witwicky's mouth or whatever, and then his antennas, I guess, go through his nostrils. That's what this lizard reminded me of.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't have a problem with them, the rite of passage or something like that, him making the staff out of the branch. That's cool. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine, because it's a history behind the tree and how it's a part of the people and whatnot. That's fine.
Yeah, and even
a lizard that guides you to it.
Yeah, no, we didn't need that.
No.
And even when they're trying to stop the Pike Syndicate train or whatever, and him training the Tusken Raiders to ride on the speeders, I'll even argue you didn't even need the training montage with the speeders. We didn't need to see them train. Like,
You didn't.
we could have suspended our disbelief enough that, okay, there's some Tusken Raiders that are intelligent enough to know how to ride a speeder. That's fine. I would have bought that. We didn't need a training montage for that. And then, even I'll say, like, it was necessary for the Pike Syndicate stuff because it eventually comes at the end. That's fine because they're like the main villains of the show. That's fine. But like, I felt like this action sequence felt very similar to another train sequence that we saw in Mandalorian season 2. Like, very similar. Like, the exact same, except one's in the forest and one's in the desert.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. So, I don't know. Yeah, a little bit redundant with that. But anyway, so the present day stuff I thought was actually a little bit more interesting. The twins, like the Jabba's cousins, I actually kind of like that.
Because of course he has cousins.
I mean, why not? Because Jabba has a son, apparently.
Yeah, and an aunt.
Yep. That's yep, one big slug worm family.
God, please stop.
I do not. I still don't want to know how they fuck, but you know.
God damn it.
I had to say it because we have to sit through an hour and 40 minutes of Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka rescuing that little thing. Anyway, but anyway, I actually thought the twins were kind of menacing how they were directed in this show. You know, they actually had kind of an intimidating presence.
Sure.
And what I'm sure a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans weren't expecting was the appearance of Black Krrsantan in this show. Like, that caught me off guard too, because I'm familiar with Black Krrsantan from the comics, because I think it was from a Boba Fett run in comics, whatever. I did not expect for them to bring him into the show, but I'm glad that they did. I end up really liking Black Krrsantan in this show. And he was nothing like Chewbacca, like nothing like him, and that was what I was really worried about. This is a brute motherfucker in this show. He means business. He's taking on like 6 guys at the same time. He's just picking fights with people just because. Like, he was very intimidating. I really liked him, and like the practical effects on him, really cool. I really like the practical work in the show. I thought was really, really good too. But like Black Krrsantan, very nice introduction to him. But yeah, and what do you think about the twins and Black Krrsantan?
Honestly, like I said, I don't care about the comics. I never read them. I have no interest. I don't associate with comics. But the twins, honestly, were a good. I guess, like, they were a good. What am I trying to say? God, I'm lost of words today.
Good antagonists? Or?
No, they're like a good relation to. They're good in relation to Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
They're like the good, like, next in line sort of thing. I appreciated them, even though we didn't get like much out of them, I guess, because at some point they just ended up being like forgiving.
Yeah.
You know, which I guess like is good to show how dominant Boba Fett can really be and whatnot.
Yep.
And then I can't even say the Chewbacca character's name, but Krrsantan. All right. He is threatening, and I like his dynamic with other characters. And like you said, he's nothing like Chewbacca, which I do appreciate too. Apparently, I just found out like maybe like a moment ago that he was from the comics, and like I saw like his first appearance, Darth Vader #1. It's a comic. I don't care about it, but like he was fine in this show, right? Because the main reason for that is because he's part of the mainline story.
Yeah.
You know, so we can involve him within said mainline story.
Yeah.
You know, we can care about this guy, and we see more of him in future episodes. So great, cool, keep doing that.
Right.
So yeah, he was good. He was good, and the twins were also good too.
Mm-hmm. And what I was also afraid about I was afraid of in this show is that they were going to try and do like a buddy buddy type of thing with Boba and Crusaden. They didn't do that either. They clearly don't like each other at all. They barely want to work with each other, but you do feel like there's a certain level of respect when it came to each other, and you feel like there is history between the two. They didn't expand on it at all, but you just feel the way they interact on each other, or how much they don't interact with each other, just the stare down at each other. You feel like, okay, yeah, they had history with each other. They've seen each other before. So that's why we're like, and this coming off of puppetry, and you're getting that, and they're conveying that type of emotion, like these two have a rivalry. Like you feel like that's great. That was great. It's amazing how practical work in puppetry works. Even though it's a guy in a suit, men in suit. But yeah, much better episode than the previous one. But then we go downhill with episode 3.
Yeah.
Oh boy, episode 3, chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. Once again, directed by Robert Rodriguez. So, Fett is asked by the watermonger. That's what they're calling him, the watermonger? Okay. The water guy. Like, come on, you're making this more intimidating than what it actually is. It's the water guy. Lortha Peel, to punish a random gang of cyborg kids who are stealing their water in Mos Espa. And they're claiming that the citizens of Tatooine do not have claiming that the citizens of Tatooine do not respect Fett yet, because he's just fresh in line, and like he hasn't really asserted dominance as much as they feel like he needs to. So Fett goes in and like investigates these random cyborg gang, and it's the kids from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Jesus Christ.
Is it actually, or like
no,
is it just a joke? Okay.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke. Like man, I'll get into it when I finish this synopsis. But upon meeting the gang, seeing that they have no work, Fett employs the cyborgs as enforcers. Enforcers of Boba Fett. They're gonna appoint these random kids. Okay. And and he demands the water guy to reduce his prices, and he gives him a little bit of money to compensate for the water stolen. And then we go back to the bacta tank 3 times already. 3 times. Anyway, so go back to another flashback where Fett recalls seeking the toll from the Pikes on behalf of the Tusken tribe, only to find the tribe destroyed the Nikto gang on his return. So after he goes to the Pikes to negotiate whatever to get whatever recalls or resources for the Tusken tribe, he's like representing them. He comes back to the village of the tribes, and they're all dead. They're all blown to bits. Like how when Luke came back to his home in A New Hope and saw that his home was incinerated and Uncle Owen and all of them are dead. It's very similar to that. So yeah, all the Tusken Raiders dead, and so his memories are then interrupted because Crusaden invades Boba's palace and takes him out of the bacta tank and starts attacking him and trying to assassinate him. And then the cyborg gang takes their sweet ass time to help Boba fight off Crusaden, and then they eventually get the upper hand on Crusaden. Everyone gangs up on him, and then they eventually trap him in that that trap door that leads into the Rancor chambers, and obviously there's no Rancor in there, but it's like they use that to trap him, and then the twins eventually show up at the palace to apologize for the attempted assassination of Crusaden, and they pretty much disown Crusaden now, and like don't want him back. And so for a peace offering, the twins give Boba a Rancor, a full-on Rancor. And so Boba takes the offering, and then he sets Crusaden free to do whatever he wants. And then Danny Trejo appears in this, and he's the one that's like helps bring in the Rancor, and then he helps explain like how the Rancor can like imprint on Boba, and then he'll be able to train him and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then Fett goes back to Mos Espa with Finnick and the cyborgs to figure out the attempted assassination, and they find the mayor absent, and then they chase down Major Domo, this random guy, I guess, who works for the mayor or whatever, and reveals that that the mayor is working for the Shia is working for the Pike syndicates. And then later on, the Pikes begin arriving in Mos Espa, and Fett decides to prepare for war. Oh, okay.
That was a mouthful.
That was such a mouthful. As you said, there's too much happening in these episodes.
There is.
Okay, so I need to start off talking about these pug cyborg kids.
They're not necessary.
Go Power Rangers! What the hell? What? What? Why? They felt so out of place.
They are out of place.
Show in this universe. And yes, we're talking about Star Wars, where there are aliens and robots that talk and mystical wizards that can do telekinesis and have laser swords. This felt so strange.
And also robots that talk about sex. Right, Dwayne?
Anyway, but yeah, this felt so odd. This felt so odd. Like, it felt like it was Star Wars' attempt to be more inclusive with the Gen Z audience. Yeah, and yes, I'm going there. It felt like they're trying to appeal to like the teenage, young adult demographic with these punk teenage kids with these cool cybernetic enhancements and the bright colored hover mopeds that they have.
Yeah.
What in the world? And I personally feel like this also was a touch with Robert Rodriguez, because what else did Robert Rodriguez did, that was very similar to this? Spy Kids and Alita Battle Angel.
Yep.
They have kids / young adult punk kids with cybernetic enhancements or androids. Like, it felt like Robert wanted to put his little touch on there, and we got these kids. And Boba is going to appoint them as his enforcers? His bodyguards?
The big badass bounty hunter Boba Fett is gonna recruit a gang of cybernetic kids.
What?
Why? Oh, because we have no work. We have no job.
And it's like, you automatically are assuming, oh, they're combat ready. They're able to defend me or whatever.
Yeah, these guys are fierce.
Fierce warriors. Teenagers with attitude.
Okay, Boba. All right.
So
you do
stupid.
You, brother.
It's so stupid. And then, wait, was this the episode with the moped chase, or was that the next? I think it was this episode too, right? Where?
Oh no, you're referring to. I think that was in like one of the last episodes. I think that was in the very last episode, actually.
That wasn't in the very last episode, because the very last episode they were all on foot shooting at stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I do think it was this episode where they were trying to chase down that guy that was running away. That was what I was talking about in the synopsis. So yeah, they were chasing him in these slow ass colored Mopeds!
It was so bad.
It was so bad!
I cringed so hard at it.
They were going so slow! You could have a moped chase, that's fine. But when everyone is going 20 miles an hour...
Stay safe in the neighborhood, kids.
God, maybe 10 miles?
Even whoever the major guy is.
Like, Jesus!
Like, we gotta stop him! Oh wait, there's more. Is this Star Wars? Oh my god!
Again, we had this speeder chase.
High speed.
In the speeder chase in the desert in the flashback. Like.
Oh yeah.
And then we cut to this. Like, stop right there. Oh, that was so awful. And then on top of that, if you're going to introduce these punk cybernetic kids, give them development. There is none. Nothing.
I don't even know any of the characters' names.
None.
I don't even know who's important.
And it's like they mainly focus on the girl and the guy.
I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, I don't even know their names. Yeah, but the main white girl and the main black guy.
All right.
Yeah, I don't even know their names. If anyone in the comments could tell me who their names are, because I don't remember them saying their names. I don't remember.
Nonetheless, we don't care.
We don't care. And then, what is your artillery? With all the cyber enhancements that you have, your weapons are little pistol blasters and whips? What?
Oh, boy.
Stupid! Absolutely stupid.
And they're the ones that are causing problems to this one guy, even with their, like, Nerf blaster pistols.
And they're fending off Crusader. Big bad Crusader, who was fighting off 4 or 5 aliens at the same time. You can't fend off these punk teenagers with attitude. What the fuck? All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other stuff that happened. Okay, so I thought it was pretty tragic that all the Tuskens got killed like that.
Yeah, they got raided or something like that, right?
Raided. Yep. Like I said, it reminded me a lot of when Luke returned back to the home and Uncle Owen and his aunt was killed and everything was in smoke and everything. It reminded me of that. So that I thought it was a nice little callback to that. And I guess the other thing that they established in the flashback is I guess building up the Pike Syndicate as a threat, I guess, or like I don't know. This whole mystery of them trying to say like the Pike Syndicate is not behind the attacks or whatever. Like we knew that from the first episode. Like I think it was well second episode because that's when they actually were established in the show. But
yeah,
like
we got it.
This whole mystery of like, oh, the Pike Syndicate may or may not have done that. Bitch, they did it. Like, come on now. Stop playing games. What I will say, it is kind of cool. Once again, these are more characters that they brought from they're from the Clone Wars show. It was cool they brought them into live action, and it was a relief that they didn't try to give them those big ass heads that they gave them in the show. Like, I don't think that would have worked at all. So I'm glad they shrunk their heads down a lot. Yeah. It was the complete opposite of how I felt like with Ahsoka when they brought her in the live action. Like, why isn't her horns a lot longer? But I was fine with that. But
honestly, I didn't even notice it until it was mentioned. Like, oh yeah,
the horns that being long.
Yeah, I never noticed it until somebody mentioned it. I'm like, oh yeah, they're not that long. I don't care.
I mean,
it's still Ahsoka.
I mean, that's still Ahsoka. But I don't know, that was such apparent to me because like watching the Clone Wars, like you notice like as she grows up, like her horns slowly start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that was
Mm-hmm.
something that I was wondering. But anyway, so yeah, that was pretty much it with the. I'm getting sick of this Bacta Tank flashback shit. Like, God,
Actually, though.
God, every time he's going in the Bacta Tank. Why is he going back in the Bacta Tank? He wasn't even attacked. Like, is like the Bacta Tank the fountain of youth for Boba Fett? Is that what? Like, I don't understand that. Like, if you want to go back to the flashbacks, fine. But why is that why is that keep being the frame device for him doing the flashbacks? Him going back to the Bacta Tank. Like, can't you do something else creative for us to go back to a flashback? Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was freaking weird, and it's not the end. They keep doing it anyway. Episode 4, The Gathering Storm, directed by Kevin Tancharoen. I don't know if I said his name right. Tancharoen, sure. Let's go with that. So this episode once again starting with the fucking Bacta Tank
Again
in the Bacta Tank. Fett goes back to a flashback where he's trying to reclaim his ship, Slave One. I'm not calling it Fire Spray. I don't care what it's called. I don't care if they rename it. That's a stupid name. I'm calling it Slave One.
It is Slave One.
It is Slave One. Stop being politically correct when you don't need to be. Nobody gave a shit about it being called Slave One until you made it a problem. But anyway, so he's trying to reclaim Slave One from Jabba's palace, who at the time was still being ruled by Bib Fortuna, and of course it's heavily guarded because it's Jabba's palace. But while he's trying to formulate a plan to infiltrate the palace, he noticed that there's a light that's shining in the sky, and it crash lands in the desert. And then he goes to figure out what it is, and it turns out that it's Finnick that crash landed, and she's brutally injured, about to die. And so he decides to help Finnick and takes him to this nearby town, and where he finds another place where there's a bunch of people with cybernetic enhancements, and then he goes to them to try to give cybernetic enhancements to Finnick to save her life. They end up doing so, and then Finnick wakes up with her cybernetic enhancements in the middle of the desert in the campfire, and then Boba introduces himself, and Finnick's like, "You can't, you're not Boba Fett. He died." And it's like, "Yeah, well, I did die, but I came back.
I did, but I came back for no reason.
Because the fans love him. We need to bring him back." But anyway, so Boba ends up making a deal with Finnick, being like, Finnick's gonna help Boba get back Slave One in exchange for Boba saving her life. And so they end up teaming up to infiltrate Jabba's palace, and they end up doing so. And then while they're going into the palace, they go into this kitchen where a bunch of random robots are making food or whatever. And I remember one of the droids attempts to fight, and he does the General Grievous thing with the knives, spinning them all around with a bunch of his arms or whatever. I'm like,
oh yeah.
And then I think Finnick came from behind and like dismantled its neck or whatever. And then there was like this little like skinny droid with rabbit ears or whatever, and like disconnects that, and he ends up keeping it or whatever. But anyway, they end up getting Slave One, and then Boba decides with Slave One that it's gonna decide to kill the Sarlacc. He takes Slave One to the Sarlacc and kills it. Be like, "This is what you get for trying to eat me." And so that's the end of the Sarlacc pit. And okay.
Because he just decided not to kill it earlier when he was trying to escape.
But how could you though?
Flamethrower, probably.
He tried that and it didn't work.
I don't know, bro.
He's about to get digested. I mean, honestly, if he could
So
have
die.
was like, no, the Star Wars fans love you too much.
God.
Anyway, so going back to present day. Oh wait, I forgot to mention that a nice callback to Attack of the Clones. He uses the seismic charges from Attack of the Clones. You know, the bomb in space that went like, bing, and
Yeah,
it
he
made
uses that
blue.
to destroy the star like that.
Yeah, so that was a nice callback to Attack of the Clones.
Mhm.
So going
Again.
back to again, you know, because everything is connected. But going back to present day, where Fett, we're in present day. Fett emerges from the Bacta tank, fully healed. I thought he was fully healed before. Why? He didn't. Okay. Oh, I guess because like he needed to heal from the fight from Crusaden, even though he didn't get any injuries from it. But sure.
Whatever.
Okay, fine. So he. Oh wait. Oh, this is the episode where the fight with Crusaden happens. Sorry guys, we mixed that up. We talked about the Crusaden fight in chapter 3. But anyway,
Oh yeah, everything happens the same in
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah. So anyway, so they fight with Crusaden. They let him go. The twins disown him. They give Boba the Rancor. Danny Trejo appears and helps Boba, you know, train the Rancor, and yeah, that's
the twins gave Fett the Rancor in episode 3.
Because I'm reading the synopsis right here.
Twins vow to leave Tatooine and give a Rancor to Fett in episode 3.
Oh, because that's what's saying in episode. Okay, Wiki is very dependable. But anyway, what'd you think about that episode?
I mean, it's still just sort of like the same thing. Honestly, I'm still after even watching this episode, I've already tuned out at this point. Like after watching like the first like episode or two, and we're in the Bacta tank again. Not surprising because the show doesn't have anything better to give us, and it needs to be a show.
Yep.
So we're back in the Bacta tank for like the 22nd time.
Yep.
And for no reason too, because
No reason.
Boba Fett did not get damaged at all. Which, by the way, can we acknowledge the fact that Boba Fett did not go in the Bacta tank at all after the final battle? Oh wait, no, never mind. Yeah, he did in the Bacta tank. Never mind. Forget that I said that.
Yep, and then he was going to put Crusaden in the Bacta tank because he got brutally injured.
Yeah.
Brutally injured. I'll talk about that in the final episode. But anyway.
Yeah, great. So we're gonna get more content from. That's how we're gonna set up the Crusaden show.
I don't want no Crusaden show.
His backstory from the Bacta tank.
Look, Lucasfilm, I don't know if you're even thinking about this. I hope you're not. Do not make a Wookiee standalone show. It's not gonna work. You tried that with the holiday special, and it was awful. Don't do it again.
That was what, 44 years ago?
Granted, yes, it was 44 years ago. But
so Lucasfilm was very different from back then.
But still, they don't do subtitles for Wookiees. And the only way a Wookiee show could happen is if you had supporting characters that speak English.
No, you need Han Solo to translate that shit.
And at that point, you might as well just do a Solo 2.
Probably.
You know, and people want a Solo 2. I secretly am curious about it, but I don't need it.
You used to want a Solo 2 back in the day.
I used to, because like I do enjoy Solo, but like, do I need a Solo 2? No.
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary. It's not.
One, I feel like to me was already too much. But
yeah, one was unnecessary for sure. But I still ended up liking it. But anyway. Okay, so I'm kind of conflicted because I do like in the flashbacks that they establish how Boba and Fennec met.
Yes.
So that was nice to see. But I'm conflicted because at the same time, I don't think I needed that. I don't know if I needed to know how they met. I was fine with them just establishing in Mandalorian that, you know, they met with, you know, similar interests and they just ended up sticking with each other. You know, I mean, I guess you had to explain to the audience how Fennec came back, you know, because she died in season 1.
They should have shown this in season 2 of Mandalorian.
Yeah, actually.
In the episode where they were reintroduced.
Yeah, they could have done a quick flashback. Fennec could explain how, you know, how she got her cybernetic parts, and that was it. But yeah,
they would have been able to shrunk this down into like a 5-minute segment of how Fett and Fennec met, and Boba Fett blowing up the Sarlacc pit, and there we go. There's one less Disney Plus show that is unnecessary.
Right, and then the Sarlacc pit. I know it's there for fan service, and so Boba Fett can get a 1-up on his suffering in the beginning. But you could have cut that completely out the show, and once again, nothing would have changed. I personally don't feel fulfilled that Boba Fett went out of his way to take Slave One to the Sarlacc pit to kill the creature. Like, I don't feel fulfilled from that. I don't. It's whatever. It's like, oh, you killed Sarlacc. Okay, that's fine. Cool. Oh, that's yeah. Oh, seismic charges. Oh, cool. Call back. That's it.
Again.
Again. But yeah, we didn't need that. I know probably some fans out there that like that. That's cool. But yeah, just once again, they're just adding stuff to this so they can pad out the runtime. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
And okay, I know we said earlier that we don't want to blame Robert for the writing, but like it's sad that Robert is getting some of the weakest episodes of this show. Like, it's always like the episode so far that we have the most issues with. It coincidentally it's a episode that Robert Rodriguez directed. I'm like, this is not looking good on him.
Robert did not direct episode 4.
Oh, he didn't? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that was Kevin.
Ken Charon. Okay.
And Jon Favreau wrote all of the episodes.
Okay, so let me draw a little rant. I'm gonna rant a little bit at Jon Favreau for a little bit then. John!
He's a bit of a hit or miss.
What the hell is going on, dog? Like, you did so well with The Mandalorian season 1 and season 2. Like, the writing was so tight with those 2 seasons. What happened? Dave, why didn't you come in and be like, John, you should fix this a bit. John, you should tweak this a bit. Hey, John, you should probably cut this out. Like, what is going on? Where's the communication? Robert, like, I think Robert has a little bit more involvement in this. Did Robert look at this and be like, yeah, this is cool? Like, well, even though I'm questioning him because he brought in the Power Rangers. But like, where is the miscommunication going on? Like, what is happening? Like, are we getting Iron Man Jon Favreau, or are we getting Lion King 2019 Jon Favreau? Like, what is? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me do a better comparison. Are we getting? Well, actually, that is a good comparison. Yeah, are we getting?
It is. Yeah.
Are we getting Iron Man Jungle Book Jon Favreau,
or are we getting Iron Man 2?
Iron Man 2,
Lion King
2019 Jon Favreau. Like, what is going on? I really don't want to say that he's becoming another George Lucas, but like, I mean,
he really kind of is though, because there's only certain things that he's good at, like, and it's only like gonna work once. It feels like, because like Iron Man only worked once for him, and then doing live action remakes of Disney stuff worked for him once.
I will say,
And then he did it again, and he sucked.
I don't want to make final judgment on him until we see what happens with how he handles Mandalorian season 3, because maybe Boba Fett was kind of like a wart, like it just popped up. You didn't expect it to pop up, but you got to deal with it. Maybe season 3 of Mandalorian they'll get their act together.
Right now. That it actually happens.
But yeah, I'm questioning the writing. Like, why is Jon Favreau the only one? Let me look at this. Wait, why is Jon Favreau the only person writing all these episodes?
Except for him and Dave Filoni worked on one episode together for this series.
And of course, we know which episode that is.
Yep.
And it's like, why wasn't Robert able to get involved a little bit? Like, I think Robert has some good writing ideas. He did really well with Predators, and I thought he brought a good stamp to Alita. So it's like, why wasn't he involved more? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's it for this episode. Oh wait, we should talk about the Rancor, because we haven't really talked about the Rancor. I like the black Rancor. I thought it's cool.
Yeah, that's alright.
Yeah, and I like that they actually had practical effects for the Rancor. It's actually puppetry. There's a big old puppet.
That's another thing that I was going to bring up. I know this is not a very good show, but please keep it up with the practical effects. We don't need to spend millions, quarters of millions of dollars on unnecessary CGI. It's not necessary.
It's not. And it's like they only use CGI when they know that the puppetry can't do what they want it to do.
Yes.
When it comes to the action set beats, or if they need the characters to move a certain way that the puppetry can't do, that's when they use CGI. But everything else, they use puppetry as much as they can, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
Definitely appreciate that. And okay, there's a nice little Rodriguez actor reunion. Danny Trejo. He brought in Danny Trejo, so it was nice to see him. Didn't do that much other than introduce the Rancor and stuff like that, but it was cool. They brought Danny Trejo in here, but
yeah.
But yeah, it would have been, that would have been cool if Boba was the one to appoint him as one of his enforcers. That would have been awesome to see Danny in an action set piece in a Star Wars show. That would have been awesome. Mm-hmm. I can't believe they dropped the ball on that. You have Danny Trejo, Machete, and it's you don't use him for action. Man. But anyway, moving on. All right. Now we're getting to the stuff that people are waiting for us to talk about. Chapter 5, The Return of the Mandalorian, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. AKA, we interrupt this Boba Fett show to give you the lost episodes of The Mandalorian. So after Boba is he's declaring war on the Pike Syndicate, he's like, we need some muscle. So Fennec and Boba are thinking, you know what? Who would be good muscle? The Mandalorian. We need to call him up. So I'm like, oh, that's great. You know what? Because I'll say, even though I was kind of disappointed how much attention was taken away from Boba Fett in his own show, I didn't have a problem with them bringing Mando into the show. Because because going back to the previous 2 seasons of Mandalorian, when they brought in big Star Wars characters from the universe, it's they executed them in a way where it's if you haven't seen Clone Wars or the previous movies, you did need to watch them to appreciate, the show or how they're executed in the show. If you're seeing them from the first time, this is a good introduction to them. They don't drop a bunch of lore that nobody knows onto these characters. They execute them fine. So I'm thinking when they're introducing Boba Fett into the show, it'll be a similar thing where it's okay, they're bringing Boba Fett to complement. They're bringing in Mando to complement Boba Fett. So it's he's not going to come in and take over the show. And for people that haven't seen The Mandalorian, you don't need to watch The Mandalorian to understand what's going on with him. So that's what I was hoping would happen. But no.
No.
So, no. So what happens in this episode, it's literally, we're just seeing what happened with Mando. We're catching up with Mando. So we literally start off with him doing a bounty. And then he's going to this moon. Well, not a moon. It's like a round-ish city thing in the middle of space. It reminded me of that that city moon in Treasure Planet. You know the one I'm talking about? That from a far distance it looks like a moon, but you look really closely, but it's actually like a city that's shaped like a moon. It reminded me of that. So he goes to that city to drop off his bounty, and then it just so happens that the armorer, the female Mandalore from the Mandalorian show, like the one that is like the head of the Mandalorians at the time.
Yeah.
She just so happens to be there along with the other big Mandalore that helped him escape from that planet in season 1. That the head guy that was that started the revolt. So those two just so happen to be there. And he has and Mando has the Darksaber with him, obviously, because he wanted off of what's his name? Giancarlo Esposito's character in the Mandalorian. Shoot.
Research.
Yeah, you guys know who we're talking about. Giancarlo Esposito's character. He wanted off of him. So he has the Darksaber, and that big Mandalore wants to win it off of Mando, and so they fight for it because in a ritual fight, similar to how Mando did in his show.
Cara Dune.
No, not Cara Dune.
No, Gina Carano.
No, Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, Oh, my bad. Hang on. I'm tripping. Hang on. Dang it.
She didn't have the Darksaber.
Freaking. Well, I mean, she could. Just kidding.
I'm sure a lot of people will be mad about that.
God, it's not even showing her name, bro.
How's it not showing his name? Okay. Sorry, guys. We're gonna be stuck on this. We need to know this guy's name.
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon. Thank you, Jesus Christ. I'm sure the viewers are yelling at us right now. It's Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon. I was like, okay, thank you, Moff Gideon. So Mando won the Darksaber off of Moff Gideon, and so the big Mando that's at that city with the armorer, he wants to win it off of Mando. So they have a ritual fight for the Darksaber, and Mando wins, obviously. And then he tries to train with the saber, and he notices that it's very heavy when he tries to swing with it. And it's like the armorer tells him that it's like you have to fight with the sword, don't fight against it. And so I guess that's something that he'll have to overcome when eventually, I'm pretty sure this is what they're going to do in season 3, when he eventually fights Bo-Katan for that saber. I know it's going to happen. I can't wait to see it.
I'm a little concerned on how they're gonna set it up. Personally,
what do you mean?
I don't know. It's just I don't know. I have my thoughts on it. I'll save it for later.
Sure. And so okay. So after the ritual fight, also the armorer asks both the Mandalores have they removed their helmet. The big guy obviously says no, never removed his helmet at all. But then the armorer asks Mando if he removed his helmet. He doesn't say anything, but the armorer knows. Yeah, you removed your helmet. So you're no longer a Mandalore anymore because you removed your helmet. That's against the creed. And then Mando's like, how can I make up for this? Like I'm sorry. Like, how can I make up for it? And
you
then,
can't.
Yeah, it's like yeah. So it's like the armor says the only way to redeem yourself is to go to the waters underneath the grounds of of the planet Mandalore, and Mando says that it doesn't exist anymore, and then the armor is like, this is the way. So pretty much he can't redeem himself if the waters of Mandalore doesn't exist anymore. Or maybe that, I don't know if that's something they'll expand on in season 3, but that was okay. That's interesting. And I'm surprised though. I'm surprised that he was able to leave with his helmet and the Darksaber. I was really surprised about that. But yeah, they just let him go with his armor, his helmet, and his Darksaber. So it's like, okay, interesting. I wonder how that's gonna unfold. Is he gonna eventually join Bo-Katan, and he'll be free to remove his helmet? And I don't know. I don't know where that's gonna go. But so he leaves. Okay, so here's another thing that once again I feel them just drawing out the runtime for this episode. We literally have to see him go on a cruiser to exit the city. He goes through this whole thing with the security bot being like, you have to remove all your armor and weapons in order for you to enter the cruiser to leave the city. And so we literally have to watch him remove all his armor, and then we have to watch him go onto the cruiser, and then we have to watch him sit on the cruiser, and then we have to watch him get to the
exit the cruiser, and then put on his armor.
Why are we watching this? Like, why? Oh, another thing we mentioned, that the armor, the staff that Mando had to fight Moff Gideon, she turns that into like a little armored shirt for Grogu, because first of all, the armor says that the staff is not something that Mando should be having as a weapon, so he tells the armor to turn it into like a little armored shirt for Grogu, and that's going to be a gift for him, for Mando, that he's going to give to Grogu. So after Mando goes through all that stuff with the cruiser and getting all his armor and weapons back, whatever, he goes back to Tatooine, and he meets up with the with that lady with the droids. Peli Motto, yep. And so he goes to her to get another ship, because Mando's ship blew up in season 2. So they try to find another ship for them to forge, to create another ship for him to use. And they end up finding a Naboo Star Cruiser from the Phantom Menace. And then they reforged that and turned that into a custom ship for Mando. And so we get this whole montage of them building the ship that we didn't need to see. But, it's a montage of them, reforging the cruiser. And it's a nice, and like when he takes the cruiser out for a test drive, it's pretty cool. It goes pretty fast. I like the look of the cruiser. After they customize it, it looks pretty cool. Of course, that's there to sell toys. I'm sure there's toys out there for the new Mando Star Cruiser. And then he runs into one of the the Rebel X-Wing fighters or whatever, being like, you're going too fast, you need to see your papers or whatever, similar thing they did in season 2, whatever. And of course he runs away because he's too fast for them. So apparently. I thought that, yeah, apparently a Naboo Star Cruiser is faster than an X-Wing.
Yep.
Great. Cool.
Actually, there actually was a bit of a callback to when Mando was taking the Naboo Starfighter through like test runs. One of the areas that he went to was the Mos Espa pod race track.
Yes. Yeah.
I felt like that was a pretty good callback, and it looked cool too.
It did. Man, I still want to if they can do like a, I don't know, like a pod racing type show, or they can dedicate like a pod racing episode in Star Wars Visions or something like that, I would totally be down for that.
Man, we got a season 2 coming up, maybe.
Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, if not, then there's always me. You know where I stand on pod racing. I'll try to make something.
Fan film.
So, there we go.
I will totally be a part of that fan film. Okay, but we went through all of that. We went through Mando doing a bounty, Mando meeting up with the armorer, Mando making this armored shirt for Grogu, Mando doing leaving on the cruiser shit with the security, Mando going to Tatooine, Mando finding a cruiser for him to use as a new ship. All of that just to establish Finnick meeting up with Mando at the very end to appoint him for the job against the Pike Syndicate. We went through all of that shit only for it to just lead to Finnick being like, hey, you want a job? Sure. I'll do it on the house because, me and Boba have history. But I gotta go to this one planet first to drop off this shirt to Grogu. That was literally all the tie-in to Boba in that entire episode. What the fuck? Now it's strange because these two episodes that we're about to talk about, the lost episodes of Mandalorian, technically, they're one of the best. They're one of the best episodes of this show. But as a Boba Fett centric episode, these are the worst ones because they have nothing to do with Boba himself. And once again, I'm going to say, you cut out this episode and this next episode we're going to talk about, you cut them out completely, the show would not change. And honestly, it kind of feels insulting because this is Jon Favreau, and I'm going to blame Dave Filoni and this. This is them saying that they don't have confidence in Boba Fett fully as a character for all of his episodes to be dedicated to him. That's what it feels like to me. It feels insulting. They literally had to stop Boba Fett's story in order for us to catch up to what Mando's doing. Now, I love me some Mando. I think Mando is great. And whatever stories we do with Mando, I'm all for seeing it. But did you need to do this in Boba Fett's show? You could have saved this for Mandalorian Season 3. You could have added a 10th episode, or however episodes Mando normally has. This could have been for Mandalorian Season 3. And the worst part of all is, like, this is just filler. That's all it is. It's filler. Like, that whole thing at the end with Finnick meeting up with Mando, you literally could have just put that at the end of episode 4, and we could have moved on with our lives. We didn't even need to see Mando go to Grogu and Luke to drop off that shirt. We didn't need to see that. We didn't need to see Mando being another cruiser. That wasn't necessary to the story. That wasn't necessary to see the whole fallout with the armorer disowning Mando as a Mandalorian. We didn't need to see that. That all could have been saved for his own show. Like, I'm conflicted because these are not bad episodes. These are actually some of the more memorable stuff of the show. But it's a slap in the face because they took over Boba Fett's show. Because I'm pretty sure this is the main thing that people are talking about. Like, not Black Krrsantan, not Boba Fett himself, not the Pike Syndicate, not even what's his name? Not even what's the bounty hunter that showed up at the end?
Cad Bane.
Not even Cad Bane. They're talking about Mando, Grogu, Luke, and Ahsoka. How sad?
It's just wrong.
It's wrong.
Like-
It's the
like-
most memorable part of a Boba Fett show. It's not even. Is Mando, Grogu, Luke, and Ahsoka.
Yeah, one of the best parts is Luke, and the fact that that's a bad thing is a bad thing. Like, you make Luke the best part of your show. That's not a good thing. Yeah, like, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
It's a problem within a problem.
Yeah. Man, like, I just don't understand why they just treated Boba Fett as like he's resorted to a supporting character of the Mandalorian. Like, I don't. But why? I argue that, regardless of how I felt about him in the original trilogy, I argue that Boba Fett is a bigger character than Mando. And it's like they treat him like this. Like, I just don't get it. What were they going to do when they were almost going to make a movie out of him? What were they going to do? Oh, it's disappointing. But outside of my thoughts of how it fits in the show, like I said, the episode's fine. I mean, there's some important things that happened on Mando's development, that he was disbanded from the Mandalorians, so that's intriguing on that aspect. Seeing some development with him in the Darksaber, that's cool, I guess. It was cool that he got a Naboo Star Cruiser for his ship. That's cool. My only thing is, when he does bounties, how is his bounties going to fit in that cruiser? That's what I'm also wondering, because it's really compact, It's
really only meant for one fighter.
Right. Unless he attaches an extra piece where he can put bodies in there or whatever, or another passenger thing if he's bringing somebody alive. But that's probably my only thing about it. And then what was that lady again with the droids?
Pelimato.
Pelimato. I mean, it was cool to see her again. I kind of liked her in Mando show.
She wasn't a bad part of this show, but I would have been fine if I didn't see much of her, I guess.
If we just didn't see the whole episode at all.
Truth.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's all I can really say about. Oh, and I guess he creates a little armored shirt for Grogu, so that was nice. Yeah, man. If we judge this as a Mandalorian show on its own, it's fine. But
yeah.
As a Boba Fett episode, it's terrible because you really gave us a whole bunch of filler that doesn't go anywhere until literally the last 4 minutes of the show. I mean, of the episode. Last 4 minutes of the episode. Dang. Well, I guess we should just transition into episode 6.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're already talking about it. Borderline. Chapter 6. From the Desert Comes a Stranger, directed by, you guessed it, Dave Filoni. Also co-written by Dave Filoni along with Jon Favreau. Okay, so we meet back up with Cobb Vanth, who is the marshal in Mos Pelgo, which is now called Freetown. So Cobb confronts some Pikes doing some spice runs in his town, and he tells them to leave. The typical Western stuff that he does. With his blaster or whatever, it's telling him go away. I think he shoots one of them and scares them off. And then so that's also going to establish, because eventually Mando's going to go to them to hopefully get help with the whole Pike Syndicate war with Boba. So that's why they're establishing Cobb there. And so then we cut to the planet where Luke and Grogu are on. Is that the same planet that Luke was on in The Last Jedi?
No.
Okay.
There's no way. No, there's no way. Also, before I actually look that up, Cobb Vanth is the character's name. Have you seen The Office?
No.
Okay, well, it's the you've heard of it though, right? It's the Steve Carell. Yeah. Apparently, Cobb's character name was named as a reference to the Office supporting character Bob Vance.
Okay.
Big difference, obviously.
All right. For all
Or, no, it's Cobb Vanth, but like it's like they got the same like sounding, I guess.
Oh, so like it's pronounced Vance, even though it's spelled Vanth.
I guess his name is often misspelled Cobb Vance in certain chapters. Through the Aftermath trilogy. What?
Okay.
Star Wars Aftermath. Oh, it's a.
Oh, we're talking about
it's
the
a
book. Yeah, the books.
I don't care about the. Okay, whatever. Anyway,
you know, a lot of Star Wars fans say like the lore is a lot more expanded in the books, man.
Yeah, and I don't care. We don't need that.
Oh,
I'll just stick to my movies.
Oh boy, we are just triggering Star Wars fans right now. But
not like they haven't been triggered before.
Oh yeah, obviously. Okay, so I was wondering about that because like the temple that the droids were building, like it looked very similar to his temples in The Last Jedi, so I was wondering of that. But the planet, now that I come to think of it, doesn't look anything like the planet he was on in The Last Jedi. So
yeah, I get where you're getting that from. I'm looking it up right now because I'm pretty sure this isn't like the same place.
Because I do not remember.
It's not Octo for sure.
Okay, because I do not remember bamboo trees. I'm just thinking about that. There were no bamboo trees in the Last Jedi.
Well, I'm looking at the one shot where we got like an overview of like the temple before it got blown to bits, where Luke starts to talk about like his side of the backstory before like Kylo tells his.
Oh, okay. So while he's looking that up, so we cut back to the planet that Grogu and Luke is on, and Luke is training Grogu. And so yeah, we catch up with them. With a really, really good DH Luke. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so Mando goes to the planet and finds R2 there to greet him. And then Mando is trying to ask R2 where they are, and of course R2 is not. I was about to call R2 the droid. Like, no, his R2.
Oh boy.
He's a character. R2 is a character, but
Yo, put some respect on him. He's my favorite droid.
Obviously. But yeah, so R2 is not telling Mando where they are, and then he shuts down, and then Mando just is stuck watching the droids build one of Luke's temples, and so he's just laying there and waiting. And then while Luke is training Grogu, he is giving Grogu back some of his memories, and then it's showing a flashback of him at the Jedi Temple when the 501st was invading, and the Jedis are trying to defend against them, and they're slowly getting killed off. And so just a little bit of a tease of like where Grogu originally came from. So Ahsoka ends up meeting Mando, and then Mando is just questioning Ahsoka, like, why can't I see Grogu and stuff like that? And then there's the whole thing of the Jedi Code. It's like Grogu can't get any personal attachments because that's going to distract from his training, and he's going to get all of his emotions, and emotions lead to the dark side. That type of stuff. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. That type of stuff.
Yeah.
So Ahsoka's like, it's very imperative that Grogu doesn't see you, because if he does, he'll get emotionally compromised. So Mando is like, can you at least give him this, armor to him? At least give it to him, if I can't see him. So Ahsoka ends up taking the gift, and then while Yoda's doing like this, that's not Yoda, it's Grogu. I'm sorry, Grogu. I am not calling him Baby Yoda anymore. You guys need to stop calling him Baby Yoda. He has his own identity. His name is Grogu, and you're gonna call him by such. Sick of this Baby Yoda shit. But But anyway, while Grogu's doing this training thing with that white ball that hovers or whatever that Luke used to train with in A New Hope. So Luke
the training droid.
Yeah. So they're giving that to the Grogu to train, and while he's doing that, he's training on the water. Ahsoka gives Luke the Mando's gifts, whatever, and then we quickly cut back to Boba and Finnick doing a game plan against the Pike Syndicate for literally like 3 minutes, and then we cut back to Luke and Grogu, whatever, and so Luke ends up giving Grogu a choice. So Luke shows Grogu Mando's gift, but he's like, but he also shows him Yoda's lightsaber, and so Luke was going to give Grogu Yoda's lightsaber if he continues his training. But if he takes Mando's armor, then he has to leave and go back to Mando and stop his training, because he'll be emotionally compromised. And so leaves him with a choice, which I'm pretty sure everyone figured that he was going to choose the armor because he loves Mando so much. So I know they were trying to give suspense with that, but I didn't think he was going to take the lightsaber. I didn't think so. And I personally was glad that he didn't, because like I didn't just want him to become another Yoda, like another reincarnated Yoda. They could have easily did that and be so predictable. But once again, it goes back to, I'm glad that they're giving Grogu his own identity. He's not going to go through similar stuff that Yoda is doing. He has his own journey, So I was actually happy that's eventually the path that he chose. But then, Mando ends up meeting with Boba, and then they form a game plan. And then Boba's like, I'm going to get the help from the people of Freetown. So I'm going to talk with Cobb and see if the villagers want to help out. And so Mando goes to him, talks to Cobb, and he's like, I'll think about it. And then it looks like that he's actually going to, help Boba and everyone, because he's like, assemble the town, any men that's willing to help, everyone like assemble. We're like, why did I say assemble? Disney. Have them all come together, and then we will go help Boba. But then you see this figure off in the distance walking towards the town. And at first, like, what is that? Who is that in the distance? It comes closer. And then for people that watch Clone Wars and Rebels, and you saw that hat, and you slightly see blue skin, like, no, there, he can't be. Is that him? And then, lo and behold, Cad Bane is here in live action. Cad Bane shows up in Freetown, and he is representing the Pike Syndicate, and pretty much giving Cobb and the people of Freetown an ultimatum: don't get involved. Let everything play out with the Pike Syndicate. Let the spice flow, and no one will get hurt. And then, of course, it leads to Cobb and Cad getting in this Mexican standoff, and the deputy off on the side being stupid, trying to involve himself. Like, dude, that dude needs to go away as well. The second worst character of this entire show. The third worst is the water dude. But anyway, so it leads to a Mexican standoff between Cobb and Cad Bane.
The worst characters are the Power Rangers, right?
Huh?
The worst characters are the Power Rangers, right?
Oh, dang, I forgot them too. Shit. Because I was like, I want to forget them.
The Spy Kids.
Yep, they're the worst. But like when I saw they were about to draw their blaster, I immediately think, oh, Cobb's about to die. Like, there's no way. And then the deputy draws his blaster, and then Cobb is slow to draw his after the deputy draws his, but then that leads to a distraction, and then Cad Bane just blasts both of them quickly with ease. Bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, holy shit. And like Cad Bane with his distorted deep voice. Everyone, don't get involved. As long as the spice flows, the people of Freetown will be unharmed. And he just walks off into the distance with his badass self. And that's the episode, bruh. Okay. So, before we get to the Cad Bane stuff, there's a lot to unpack with this episode. Actually, there's a lot to unpack. I guess we should start with Luke. I did not expect for them to use Luke as much as they did in this episode. Like, he actually is a character. He actually had a lot of dialogue. He actually had a good amount of screen time. And this is de-aged Mark Hamill. And let me say, he looks so much better than he did at the end of Mandalorian Season 2. Like, it's crazy. It looks like Mark Hamill drank the Fountain of Youth and came on and did actual scenes. It literally looked like that was him. We did a time capsule. Well, we plopped Mark Hamill from Return of the Jedi, and he's here. It looks so convincing. I was shook. I was so shook. The only thing that I kind of slightly noticed was a little bit off. Two things. One, his hair.
Yeah.
His hair kind of looked darker than what it actually is. And then the second one, like, I'm kind of debating like if that was intentional for him to come off this way, or that's just how they're not as advanced in the deepfake technology where they can convey this with his performance. But like, he almost seemed a little inhuman with his delivery as far as like his emotions.
I think that's because they were wanting it to make it more relatable to how Luke was in like the games. That's the only thing I can think of, because Luke's portrayal in the games was sort of like the same, like sort of like reminded me of that of his performance in Book of Boba Fett. And honestly, I do think we are still in that age where, you know, the de-aging is not like, you know, it's there, but like it's not like fully there yet, because you know, the look of it is step one. Step two is the performance. And Mark Hamill, you know, as great as he is, it just didn't, like, it may look like a younger Mark Hamill, but it just didn't come off as like the same portrayal as he did in Return of the Jedi per se, but more sort of like, he reminded me of like that of Jedi Academy or something like that, or it was one of those games. And also, I think I was reading something earlier saying that some people were saying that Luke in this show was on Yavin 4.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't know if that's like legit or not.
Okay. But yeah, man. That's the thing. Like, look-wise, we're there now.
Yeah, look-wise, we're there. It's just we need the portrayal to be there as well. We need like the exact portrayal, which is honestly, I don't know if it's gonna be there unless we get like a different person to do it, which is not entirely easy to do.
Yeah, like, I mean, they could probably get away with Luke slightly because he's at this point, with him being a Jedi, he slowly starts to get more and more Zen-like. So his emotion, like, he's not going to be as expressive as he was in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. So there might be a little leeway with him. But as far as like other characters that tend to be more expressive, you know, I feel like that's something they need to work on a little bit more. Because I have a feeling I have a feeling this is not the last time they're going to do this because of how much they perfected it at this point, and the more they work on it, I have a feeling like whatever they're setting up with Ahsoka and whatever they're trying to set up with Thrawn, I feel like it's going to get to a point where de-aged, deepfake Luke could possibly become a main character in the show.
There is potential for sure.
I feel
There
like that.
definitely is.
Yeah, I feel like that's really big potential with that. I feel like that's what they're trying to do. And honestly, like it's crazy how innovative the technology is. I'm impressed from a direction standpoint, from like just a filmmaking standpoint. I am so impressed with what they did. But at the same time, I'm kind of scared because if they're able to do it with this show, like just think about what they would possibly do with other properties like Marvel or other studios trying to do it, like WB or Universal or Sony, looking at this being like, what if they try to resurrect people from the dead? Like, that's my other concern. And then there's going to be a whole thing about like actors' rights, like looks rights and whatever. Like, that's going to be a whole ordeal with that. Like, if you're able to defake people like this, like, how far are they going to take it? What if they possibly try to bring Leia back from the dead? What if they
we kind of tried to do that and it didn't work, but I mean, like, we are sort of like getting in that age where we could start to try and perfect that.
Right, like I'm saying, like, yeah, like in Rogue One, like, it didn't work. In Mandalorian Season 2, it didn't work. Rise of Skywalkers kind of got away and kind of didn't.
They tried.
But, like, now that it looks this good, like, I have a feeling they might try that again with Leia. And then it won't stop here. You look at other studios, you know how much people love Christopher Reeve as Superman. What if they try to bring back Christopher Reeve from the dead? Like, I'm sorry, I'm opening a Pandora's box that I shouldn't. I'm probably thinking too hard about this, but I'm like,
I have actually heard a rumor. I don't know which project it was on. Maybe it was The Flash. That they were going to try and do a deep fake on Christopher Reeve's Superman.
oh,
A rumor. It's out there. We just gotta pray.
It's like, I don't even know how to feel about that. I really don't.
Because we gotta keep in mind that, like, the deep fakes could also look terrible.
It could.
So we gotta hope that they like look legit and they look good. But the thing that I'm more concerned about is the performance. Like, if the effects are, if the deep fake is bad, then like that's on them. But I'm more so concerned about the performance.
Yeah.
Because how do you translate a dead actor's performance?
Right. Like getting an actor to like emulate someone like that. Like, it was okay.
But people are gonna hate that.
Yeah, people are gonna hate that. Like, I think it was so good with Luke here because Mark Hamill was still doing some acting there. He was still doing voice performances and stuff like that. But Carrie Fisher is gone. Christopher Reeve is gone. So you're gonna have people do voice alikes or, I don't know, acting lookalikes. And it's like, as great as somebody can emulate, as close as somebody can do to emulate somebody's performance, there's always going to be something in the, there's something that's going to process in our brains that's going to tell us that that's not fully the person. There's just something that goes off in our brain that tells us it's not fully them.
William Hurt from Marvel is gone.
Oh, shit. And then, obviously, they're not going to do that with Chadwick Boseman. But, I mean, if they were going to do it, they would have done it.
But here's the thing. They wouldn't have told us anything about that to keep it a surprise.
I think whether it's a surprise or not, you're going to get an uproar from people.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, but that is one thing to think about though, because like Marvel still could try to bring back William Hurt, try to bring back Chadwick Boseman, and it's like, oh my god, people are just going to be in an uproar.
Because keep in mind, we are also in multiverse territories, so we could still potentially see anybody come back.
That's true. That's very true.
Even people like not from the MCU who aren't with us anymore, who aren't alive.
Right.
So like,
oh boy, this is the can of worms that like I don't know if Hollywood wants to open, but
yeah,
dang,
I don't know.
But anyway, Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka. I'm glad to see her again. I'm happy to see her. Man, I'm just loving Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I just really loving it.
Yeah, honestly, I do like Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, right? She's not the issue. Like, she's not going to be an issue. Like, her show, she'll do good in her show.
Right.
Her being in Book of Boba Fett, like, this long, though?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it was kind of overstuffed. Kind of overstuffed.
Oh, for sure. Like, at this point, I don't even feel like this is a lost episode of Mandalorian. This feels like a lost episode of the Ahsoka show that hasn't even came out yet.
It hasn't even come out yet, yeah.
Yeah, this feels like something that they would put in the Ahsoka show. But, like, man, once again, this, as an episode by itself, it's a good episode. It's good.
As a Book of Boba Fett episode,
it's horrible.
Yeah, it sucks.
Nothing to do with Boba. Nothing.
And since it only exists as a Boba Fett episode, it sucks by default.
Yeah.
So we can't say that, like, the episode could be good, but like it's in someone else's show. So it sucks.
Yeah. Like, as much as I praise the deep fake on Mark Hamill, and and it's like he even having a legit conversation with Ahsoka, like they're talking to each other, and I'm buying it. Like, it's crazy, but at the same time, it's just like this is not doing anything for Boba Fett. Nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just don't know about it. I'm just conflicted. This episode got me the most conflicted. All right. The final stretch. Chapter 7. In the Name of Honor. Once again, directed by Robert Rodriguez. So, R2 flies Grogu back to Tatooine to meet up with Mando because he chooses to be with Mando instead of continuing with his training. And so Mando, Boba, and Fennec and the Power Rangers and Crusaden are forming a plan to stop the Pike Syndicate, and then Cad Bane and the Pike Syndicate are trying to figure out a plan to stop Boba and whatever. And so what happened? So they try to create a perimeter in the village, in the middle of the village, and Cad Bane comes and threatens Boba Fett to surrender to the Pikes, and obviously that's not happening. And then he tells Boba that he killed Cobb Vanth, and it's like, I wouldn't count on the people of Freetown to support you. Cobb Vanth never should have given up his armor and stuff like that. And so it almost leads to a Mexican standoff against Boba and Cad. But then Fennec's like, don't do it. It's a trap. It's a trap. Like, we fight on our terms, not theirs. And so they hold off on the battle. And so, yeah, Boba and the Power Rangers and Crusaden form a perimeter around the town and get ready for the Pikes to invade. and then Boba tells the other like gangster syndicates to not get involved, stay neutral between Boba and the Pikes, and they oblige. But then the Pikes, I guess, threaten, or they do a negotiation with the other underground people to end up helping the Pikes against Boba and his army. So that was kind of strange. Okay, I thought you guys just agreed to stay neutral. What? I guess they offered more money. I don't know. And so then it eventually leads to all the members of the underground gangster people to send their people against Boba and his army. And then it leads to separate fights where some of them are fighting Satan, and then some of them are fighting the Power Rangers, and then it leads to Fennec trying to go and help the Power Rangers. And like, I know these kids have names. I'm calling them Power Rangers because they don't have any characters. So if y'all are annoyed with me calling them Power Rangers, whatever, it sucks.
Yeah, we don't remember their names anyway. Enough for us to care.
Yep, sucks to suck. So, and then it leads to what I actually was hoping we would get from the end of Mandalorian Season 2, but they save it for this, which I guess I'm kind of happy with because it kind of elevated the finale. Mando and Boba fighting side by side against the Pikes and the other crime syndicates. Like, that was cool. Seeing them fight together, that was awesome. Them on their jetpacks, them, like back to back with their blasters or whatever, using their flamethrowers, that was cool. Using their rocket launchers, and Mando using the Darksaber, that was cool. That was awesome. And then, out of nowhere, apparently the Pike Syndicate made this deal with Skynet because apparently there's some Terminator drones with force fields with giant guns just comes into the city out of nowhere and just starts attacking Boba and the Power Rangers and Satan out of nowhere. And then Mando goes back to the palace to get something. Oh, we wonder what Boba's gonna get from the palace. And then eventually Grogu meets up with Mando along with with that lady. I keep forgetting that lady's name. They all meet up and they're all getting chased by one of the mechs or whatever, the robots, whatever, with the giant guns and the force fields. And then eventually Boba Fett comes riding on top of his Rancor, fighting the two giant mechs with the force field. Some kaiju monster shit. Fucking awesome. Comes and just slaughters those mechs. That was freaking cool. And then, yeah, Satan and the Power Rangers and Mando helped slightly. But dude, the Boba Fett on top of a Rancor. Fucking awesome. Fucking insane. That was so cool. And then eventually Cad Bane comes in. Oh, great. Glad you can finally join the fight, Cad Bane. But anyway, Cad Bane comes in and scares the Rancor with his flamethrower, and then the Rancor just runs away and wreaks havoc on the city. And then it leads to a one-on-one fight between Boba and Cad, starting off with a Mexican standoff. And then they start talking shit to each other like, "You're old. Well, you're old too. Well, I have armor. Well, let's see what you can do." And then it leads to the standoff, and then Cad wins the shoot off, and then leads to a tussle on the ground and a little fight. And then eventually Boba gets the upper hand and uses the staff that he carved with the Tusken Raiders and uses that to actually kill Cad Bane. He kills Cad Bane. So he's gone. He stabs him right in the center of, I don't even know if Cad Bane has a heart, but he stabbed him in the center and he's dead. And then eventually they stopped the Rancor from rampaging across the city, and they thought the smartest idea was to blast at it. Isn't that Boba's Rancor? Why are you blasting at his Rancor? But okay. And you think that's going to calm down the Rancor or stop it? When you were spending the whole time blasting two giant mechs with force fields, and you thought blasters were going to pierce through it, but it doesn't. But you continually shoot at it. Okay, but shooting at a Rancor, that's a good idea. But then eventually, Grogu uses the Force to put the Rancor to sleep. And then everybody goes off their separate ways. And that's the end. Oh, the Pike Syndicate is gone too. Yep, so they stop the Pike Syndicate. They stop doing spice trades, whatever. They go off, and yeah, everyone goes off their separate ways, and that's the end. You go ahead, man. Cause
honestly, I don't really have much to go off of here, other than to say like this is actually kind of like the opposite result of what the previous episodes have felt like with and talking about like the Mandalorian-esque episodes, whereas those episodes worked as like individual like Mandalorian episodes or Ahsoka episodes, but not as a Boba Fett episode. This works ironically as a Boba Fett episode, but not so much in like writing, I guess. Does that make any sense?
So structurally, it feels like a Boba Fett show, but the writing is still sloppy.
Yeah, structurally it works for Boba Fett, but like it doesn't. It's just all over the place with writing still.
Which I guess is consistent because the previous episodes were the same thing.
Were the exact same thing.
All over the place.
So, yeah. And we honestly, like, after watching this, I felt like the same way that I felt after Boba Fett blew up the Sarlacc pit. You know, I didn't really feel, like, accomplished or anything. I honestly didn't even feel like Cad Bane was much of a threat in that final battle. Like, Flamethrower was there, but then he just gets killed off, like, bam, right then and there.
Okay, so like, yeah. Okay, so
cool.
I agree with you with how he was utilized overall. Like he barely did anything. And
he just shows up out of nowhere.
I'll agree with you. But okay, so one thing we will disagree with you on. So you didn't care for seeing Cad Bane in live action, and you thought he didn't look that good.
He did not look. He doesn't look good. He just doesn't translate that well to live action for me.
Oh man, I gotta disagree. Now, okay, so one thing I will slightly give you, because it's not perfect. It's not perfect because I do feel slight stiffness, like from the shoulders up. I feel slight stiffness with his movements. And then like his eyes like didn't really move that much. Like when he's talking, or like when he's when he feels like he's expressing, it feels like his eyes feel a bit stagnant. So these are tiny directions and stuff that I would notice. I know like probably the casuals wouldn't really realize these little details, but that's something that I pointed out. Like his eyes weren't really as expressive as they should have. They felt just very stagnant. I'm angry. And that's it. But as far as like how he looked, like I'm actually glad they didn't go with the super blue tint that he has for his skin, because I felt like that would have looked even more cartoony than how you're thinking of. I'm glad they did like a more of a faded blue. It made it look like he translates to live action a little bit better. I did like that they kept his eyes like really, really red. Like I really like that. Like other than him looking like a more faded blue, it looked like he came straight off of the cartoon. And then like even like his hands looking like a long, thick, weird alien digits. Like that was cool. Like he was slender and tall. Like I don't know, man. Like I'm happy with how he's designed. Like his movements, I'll give you that. The similar thing with how he said about Luke. Like his design, I thought was fine, but his performance, yeah, it was a little stiff. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and I think it's also like, I think I'm also a little bit like leaning towards the idea of like, Cad Bane was able to fend off against like legit ass Jedi in the Clone Wars.
Yes.
and then he just gets killed off like in the quickest way possible in this one.
Yes. Now I think it's a mixture of two things. One, I
am not blaming this on age.
that was the first thing I was going to talk about. Actually,
no, we are not talking about age. I don't care. If you age, you get better. I don't care.
Well, okay, so I do agree with you that age should not be an excuse of why he didn't do that much, but at the same time, that could have been a good story point for his character. That that while he's getting older, like he still should be very tactile and like capable in a combat situation, but you do notice that he's slightly a little slower. He's not as fast as he used to be. Like that could have been a nice like story point for him, but they don't do that.
They don't explain it.
They don't explain it. It's literally one line of dialogue, and that's it. Yeah. And then I think it's because like I felt like they knew that they were slightly restrictive when doing Cad Bane to live action, even though visually it translated fine. But I think they knew that it would have took a lot of like CGI enhancements and motion capture to actually have him be able to do the stuff that he did in the Clone Wars and not have it look weird. Because I'll tell you right now, as much as I know the little details about how practical and CGI work and deepfake stuff work, I can't tell you exactly what parts are practical and what parts are CGI and what parts are deepfake and what parts are mixed together. Like, I can't tell you that at all. It feels like a hodgepodge of everything. But, like, it feels like they're restrained.
Well, I feel like what they could have done... Did they utilize his, like, jet boots?
No.
In this finale? That's one thing that they could have done.
They probably could have done that.
They could have done that. They could have utilized... Because that way they could have also utilized Boba Fett's jetpack.
Yeah.
There could be a lot of, like, aerial chases around the village. They could have done that.
Right.
You know, there was potential, but they just decide, you know, okay, 20, 30-second bit of just them fighting and then Cad Bane dies.
Right. And it's like... I kind of what I'm inferring is like if with him doing like the shootouts and stuff like that, I don't think they wanted him to do like too many sudden movements because I think what I'm thinking I'm not for sure. I didn't see the behind the scenes on this, but on how they made him. But it's like it almost seems like his headpiece is like they can't make too many sudden movements with his headpiece because if they do, like the headpiece will go off. Certainly, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it looks like after like I'm looking at it right now. It looks like something like if he turned his head, like if he turned his neck, like it looks like something would like snap off or something.
Yeah, something like that. That's what I'm guessing. Like if people have watched behind the scenes stuff and know how he's made, please comment how they did it. But like that's what it feels like. Why he's not moving as much as he should. But they could have, as you said. They could have thought of other things to be more creative with that, like the jetpack and speeder chases or whatever. Like, utilize CGI a little bit more, like far away shots or whatever. But like, I don't know.
And something else about his design is that like if you're running into issues like this where it feels like you're feeling restricted from like, if you feel like your actor is feeling restricted from movements because of a costume piece, take that as a note. And like see how you can work around that, because it feels like they just put this together to try to look like accurate to like the source material without looking into like does the actor playing the character feel comfortable like moving around in the way that the character does in the original source material.
Right.
Which is the same thing for a couple of other characters. You know, it's kind of like the same thing with Ahsoka. Because she looked and felt stiff in Mandalorian. Even in the fight scene, which I thought originally was a good fight scene, but then I looked at it again and I was like, this is way too stiff.
And honestly, like, Rosario Dawson... Oh, no. I am not going there with you. It was not boring.
It just looks boring because of how stiff they look.
I mean...
You know?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far because like I think they were trying to do like a more like a cerebral type of fight with her. You know, they weren't trying to make it like spectacle like we usually see in the movies. Like that one-on-one fight that she was doing with that chief lady in the town. Like that was a more like cerebral, intimate type thing. There wasn't a bunch of fancy moves going on. So
yes, but at the same time, it's still a fight scene. And so when I watch a fight scene, I'm supposed to feel like intensity. I'm supposed to feel like something matters here. I didn't feel much of anything in that final fight between Ahsoka and whoever that one chief lady is. I didn't feel much of that as much as I saw her in the beginning of the episode when she was actually defending herself, fighting off against a bunch of other people. You know, I felt something there. Whereas, and like her fighting off against the Mandalorian, I felt a little bit of something. But like in that final fight against like the chief lady, it felt lifeless.
Are you saying that because like how she was directed against like the troops and the Mandalorian, they were treating her more as like an ominous presence?
Yeah, they were treating her as if she was like a threat to their people. Whereas the chief lady is sort of like fighting her off as like, you know, we've done this thing before or something. Or like, here's the thing, like I'm watching the fight sequences as like, you know, comparing to her against like the guards, it's like, you know, I'm seeing like a story there. Like there's something going on.
Right.
The final fight, I don't really understand what they're fighting for. You know, maybe they've had like some sort of like connection in the past or something, but like,
well, they're fighting for the freedom of the town.
Yeah, but like I'm watching that as like, you know, we're supposed to be like we're supposed to know that. Like we should have like seen, like they play it off as if like we've seen something like this before with these two characters.
Oh, like there's history between the two characters that we didn't see.
Exactly, but we didn't get that before. Right. So I'm watching this as like, it's like the same thing with like Obi-Wan against Darth Vader in A New Hope. That's what I'm comparing this to. Like it could be good on like character level, and like it could be good on choreography, but like it's like 5 out of 10 choreography, 5 out of 10 characters. So like overall, it's like 10 out of 20. Whereas like the A New Hope stuff is like 10 out of 10 character, 0 out of 10 choreography. So it's 10 out of 20.
To give
Am I making sense right now?
No, I get it.
Kind
like
of?
you, like, yeah. So you're saying that like you wish you were more like emotionally invested in the fight, and that probably would have made up for the lack of choreography for that fight scene for you.
Because we've seen Ahsoka before, and we've seen her fight for something like in the past. So to see her like fighting as if she's like kind of not doing that kind of feels a little jarring.
I guess I see what you're saying. I personally like that final fight. I mean, granted, I didn't give a crap about that chief village lady, so I give you that. I didn't care about the development between her and Ahsoka.
Yeah, that's another thing. We don't care about the lady, like the enemy.
But I personally like that because, like, first of all, I'm going to call out you prequel lovers. You guys are fucking spoiled. But I liked for once that a lightsaber fight that's not like heavily choreographed, that it reminded me of some like slow, intimate fights that I would see from martial arts fights, you know? They reminded me a lot of that. Like there wasn't any music going on either in that fight. Like they let the sound effects from the lightsaber and the staff, like that kind of told a story, in my opinion. Like for me, that was good visual storytelling. How they were slow and calculated and intimate in that setting. So I just thought that was kind of unique how they did it there. And what I will say about like Rosario Dawson fighting in that headpiece, she did the very best of what she could do in that headpiece. She moved around as much as she possibly could. So that was the difference between this and the Cad Bane, where I feel like Cad Bane, I didn't feel like they did the best with what they did with whatever they were doing with that design, you know? So it's like, at least I felt effort with Rosario Dawson. There wasn't as much effort with Cad Bane, at least in my opinion. it was great to see him. I didn't expect for him to be in the show, and that was actually one of the things I was theorizing about when we were talking about Mandalorian season 2. That I was thinking maybe he would show up in Book of Boba Fett, and it actually happened. So I was happy about that. Execution, and then I don't know how to feel about them just killing him off like that.
Yeah.
Now I know that they were trying to do, once again, fan service, because in the last episode of the Clone Wars, a young Boba Fett did a Mexican standoff with Cad Bane, and so I think they were trying to do a callback to that. But like, I don't know, it didn't feel as cinematic as it could have been. Man, it should have been a movie. This should have been a freaking movie, because I feel like they would have done the Cad Bane stuff a lot better with a bigger budget, for sure. And he would have been more of a presence, I think, in a movie. But like,
maybe he would have made more sense to like the story as like a character.
Right.
Like, instead of being thrown in like second to last episode. Like, I was watching for like the first like 4 episodes, like, where the hell is this character? Because like I knew before going in that like he was going to be in the show. That's how late I was.
Yeah.
So I knew that he was in the show before I watched it, and I was waiting for him to come in. Episode 6 comes on and he comes in.
Of course they say
that late.
Of course they save it for last. They're doing the similar Marvel shit. Is like they put the good stuff in the final 2 episodes.
And then they waste it. Kingpin.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got about Cad Bane. I don't know how to feel about them killing him off. Like, I feel like they could have used more of him in the universe going forward. But once again, like, if he's getting older, how much is he going to do at this point? But whatever. Okay.
He also feels like another like Darth Maul situation where like Darth Maul was killed off, but then he comes back. Like, Darth Maul just keeps on dying, and then he just doesn't die. Cad Bane just keeps on dying, and then he just doesn't die.
Doesn't die. And then once again, like Darth Maul, he's a stinger, just like Darth Maul at the end of Solo.
Yeah.
He's a damn stinger. Man. But with the rest of the climax, I'm gonna say right now, I thought it was kind of idiotic until the Rancor came in. I'm just gonna say that right now. The way they were trying to build perimeters, absolutely stupid. What was the first idea they decided to come up with? The girl in the Power Rangers group is like, we're not gonna leave our people. We're gonna stay here and fight.
You have people?
People? What people?
They have people?
You have people? No. And we're gonna be out in the middle of the open, so the Pike Syndicate can know where you are.
Great plan.
Boba had a better idea of drawing them to the palace. At least they'll have more of an advantage because they're at the palace and they know where things are. And they can set traps. And they have weapons there. But no, everyone wants to go with the girl's idea because for the people. Stupid. And then, going back to when I was talking about how inconsistent people's toughness is, up until this point, we saw Black Crusaden take on like 3 or 4 people at once, 4 or 5 people at once. But at the end, when those aliens were ganging on him, he was having an issue with them. Okay, and then later on, oh no, he's good. He took him out, and then he gets blasted in the leg. It's like, oh my leg, oh I'm limping, oh god, oh god. But then next scene, he's running with everyone else. You were just limping. Wait a minute. What? Wait, what? You were just limping. You barely could walk. Why are you running? Oh, you're running with them? Wait, what? Okay. And then when Boba and Mando were fighting together, it was cool. That was a nice little set piece. That was exciting. Why weren't you in the air the entire time? Why are you fighting on the ground? You have a better advantage in the sky with your jetpacks. And they never established that they ran out of fuel. They never established that. They could have been in the air the entire time and shot from the air. Okay, great. And then once again, we were talking about earlier with the giant Terminator drones. They keep shooting at it like the force field's gonna go down. And it doesn't. They keep shooting at it. It's similar logic with the Naboo in the prequels with the droidicas. They keep shooting at it and hoping that the force field will go down. Try something else. Stupid. And then, where did they get giant Terminator drones with force fields? Where did that come from? Why didn't you start with that from the beginning?
Why didn't you set this up?
And it's like, and then they just come in out of nowhere. Nobody sees these giant drones just stomping in the town. They just magically appear. Nobody was warned. Nobody saw them from a distance. Okay. This is probably the most illogical climax of any Star Wars show. And we watched The Bad Batch. But but like there's some cool set pieces in here. There's some exciting moments. As I said, I thought it was really cool that Boba Fett came in on top of a Rancor. That's awesome. I thought that was really cool. Fighting off Terminator drones, that was cool. The kaiju monster fan that I am, I got a kick out of that. Though once again, I'm going to ask, why didn't you start with the Rancor from the beginning? Because we need to stay for the people. God damn it. Yeah, man, there was so many
people.
What people? And then the people of the citizens of Freetown end up helping them anyway, so that's cool. They brought them. They came in to avenge Cobb's death. So that was cool. Once again, you're still just fighting with guns and thinking something will change. I mean, they do shoot the Pike Syndicate guys that were shooting guns, so I guess that they helped in that matter. But like, there are so many illogical things happening in this climax. It doesn't make sense. It does not. And it's like we take out the exciting moments with the drones and the Rancor and Boba and Mando fighting together. This climax is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Eternals level dumb. Like,
yeah, we saw Eternals.
Like, oh my gosh. And then everyone goes off on their merry way. That's great. Man. That's all. I mean, and then they shoot Boba's Rancor. Like, why? Why? It would have been more calm if you just didn't do anything. But glad Grogu came in, to the rescue. And then wait a minute. Well, okay, this is probably something that he worked on training with Luke. But every time he uses that level of force power, doesn't he go to sleep?
Yes.
So he didn't go to sleep until he stopped the Rancor, even though he used his force powers more than once up until that point. Now, granted, he probably worked on that with Luke to not use all of his energy at once. So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt there. But that was another thing I kind of noticed. But, yeah, that's about it. That's all I got.
It's a show.
It's a show. It's a show. Man, I'm disappointed. But I can't say that I thought it was absolute trash. I expected a lot more. You know, coming off of Mandalorian season 2, like Tamara Morrison as Boba was just so great, and Robert Rodriguez did so well directing that episode. I was just expecting this to be great. You know, one of the best Star Wars shows put out there. But you know, in hindsight, at first I was blaming Robert for all the weird decisions, but like, nope, we got to point the fingers at Jon Favreau. Like, I don't know what you're doing with this writing, bro. Like, it's clear you needed. It's clear Dave Filoni wasn't as involved with this. And I feel like he should have been. It's kind of similar thing with Kevin Feige, where it doesn't seem like he's as involved with Phase 4, and it kind of shows.
But he was involved with Eternals.
Lack thereof.
In a way.
I mean, I guess like he approved Chloe Zhao directing,
and that was it.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Or here's the roadmap of what you can play in. Do whatever you want. So, pretty much it. Or lack of a roadmap, because like if Kevin Feige gave Chloe Zhao a roadmap, he wouldn't allow a giant celestial head to just pop out of the earth and nothing happens. But you know, it is what it is. I'm hoping Mandalorian season 3, Dave Filoni is more involved again. We need you back, Dave. I don't know what you're doing. You taking a vacation? No, don't do that. But I still am looking forward to seeing more from Boba Fett. You know, because I still am really invested in his character. I really like him and Finnick. I think they're great. I want to see more. I don't want to see any more Power Rangers. No more Power Rangers, please. That's probably the one thing I'll blame Robert, because that feels like a Robert idea.
Yeah.
No. But in hindsight, I feel bad for Robert, man, because like, you know, because I really want him to do a lead up to, and I want his other projects to be, you know, I want him to get more work, you know, but this doesn't look good on his track record, man. So, any hopes of me getting a lead up Battle Angel 2, it's not looking good at this point. Not looking good. And then it's gotten to the point where Star Wars fans is like, Robert Rodriguez shouldn't come to Star Wars ever again. I'm like, no, it's not his fault. Not fully his fault.
Yeah,
people
it's not
don't
his
know
fault,
that.
guys.
It looks bad on him because everyone thinks it like he's to blame for the show being so bad. Like, no, man, he's just a director for hire. He's doing what the script is telling him to do. So, overall, I enjoy watching more than half of this show. You know, more than half. I really like Tamara Morrison. I really like Finnick. I think the development with his backstory, even though it was structured poorly with the back to tank stuff over and over again, it was interesting to see his flashbacks and how he was trained by the Raiders, and I liked the new dynamics with him becoming the new ruler of Jabba's palace and becoming a new leader of the crime syndicate. That was cool. It was exciting to see Cad Bane in live action. I thought there was some cool set pieces, even though the action and the structure was kind of sloppy. But there was some really exciting stuff with monsters. At least I got a kick out of that. But yeah, the writing is just all over the place. Like, there's too much stuff going on, but at the same time, there's not enough going on. And then the movie gets the show gets hijacked by the Mandalorian, Grogu, Luke, and Ahsoka. And it shouldn't have been. You know, it's very disappointing. This is a Boba Fett show, but as soon as they came in, it turned into the Mandalorian spinoff. And that was very disappointing to me. So, and like this and Obi-Wan, which we'll talk about very soon, it would have been better as a show. I mean, a movie. I'm sorry, this would have been better as a movie. Sorry, we've been talking for like 3 hours. This would have been better structured as a movie. You would have cut out all the fluff, all the filler, and like it would have been better. It would have been more coherent if it would have been a movie. I wish they didn't get cold feet after Solo, and would have been like, okay, we're gonna take a break from theatrical releases, because I really feel like some of these shows would have been beneficial as a movie. You don't think people will go to the theater and see a Boba Fett movie, an Obi-Wan movie? You think that's not gonna do well? Because Solo, a movie that people didn't even want, like, just like I feel like it would have been good. Like they should have stuck with their guns and made them movies, but that's how I feel. So grade, what am I giving this? Grade? Jesus. I'm stuck between this and this. Like I don't know. I guess I will. Dang it. Jesus, what am I gonna do? I'm so conflicted. You know what? I guess I'm gonna give it a C+ above average. It's an above average show, at least in my opinion. There's some really good stuff in here, but I just wish it was more coherent. Like, I don't know if I could say the show is pretty good. It's lower than pretty good. So it's like I guess it evens out to above average to me. All right, Ruby, final thoughts.
Honestly, I would have honestly there actually was potential for this to be pretty good, because Boba Fett, as we said like a billion times already, was not a good character back in the day. But until Mandalorian season 2, we actually got the proper reintroduction to the character, and we actually got to see there's actually some potential with this character. And then it was announced that we were going to get his own solo show. Okay, cool. The solo show came out, and it's just a movie crammed into 7 episodes with cameos from all sorts of different projects that make it feel like it's not really Boba Fett's show anymore, even when he's on screen. And even whenever it is a Boba Fett show, half of the stuff that they show with Boba Fett is just very unnecessary. It's a lot of fat that we don't need in a show. So to shave off the fat and work off all of the cameos, or at least most of the cameos, to make it enough to make it feel like a Boba Fett show, and just polish up the story. I don't know what Jon Favreau honestly was thinking with this show when going into the writer's room, honestly. Because a lot of people say that Mandalorian is one of the best things to happen to Star Wars. I disagree with that personally. I think it's pretty above average. But
if Boba had even the effort of Mandalorian, it would have been a better show.
Right, and both are created by the same person.
Yeah.
So I feel like at this point it's pretty clear to me, at least, that Jon Favreau can't do more of the same thing. He can't do more than one Iron Man, or he can't do more than one live action Disney remake, or he can't do more than one Star Wars live action show. He's got to do just one thing, and then just keep himself devoted to that one thing. Otherwise, his projects are just going to fall flat, because now I am skeptical about Mandalorian Season 3. Because we're going to see Mando again, we're going to see Boba Fett again, and now we got to deal with Bo-Katan again. And we're probably going to see Luke Skywalker again, we're going to see Grogu, and they're going to try and fit in Ahsoka somewhere, and it's going to feel messy. It's going to feel too packed. Even if Mandalorian has more episodes to deal with than Book of Boba Fett did, it's just going to feel, I don't know. It feels like Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be devoted to one side character per episode with how many characters we're getting. So I don't know. As far as Book of Boba Fett as a show goes, I really don't think it's good. I feel like there's way too much stuff happening and way too many cameos to make it feel like it's not really Boba Fett's show anymore. But whenever it is Boba Fett and whenever he's on screen, Boba Fett as a character is good, and Fennec as a character is good. So just stick to them. We don't need, we already have good characters. Why are we bringing in Mando? Why are we bringing in Ahsoka, Luke, Grogu? Even whoever the lady is on Tatooine, I don't remember her name, whatever the fuck her name was. Yeah. Why are we bringing in these characters? It's not Boba Fett's show anymore. Why are we bringing in Cad Bane? As cool as it is, okay.
Well, Cad Bane would have worked as Boba Fett's antagonist. He doesn't take over.
They don't establish that. So if they don't do that, then I don't care about Cad Bane, and I question why he's in the show in the first place, especially when he's introduced in the second to last episode of the season. What?
Yeah.
John. What are you doing? But yeah, again, there are moments in the show where it is watchable, at best. The Luke Skywalker stuff is watchable at best. Cad Bane in episode 6 at least is watchable at best. But they don't work as a Boba Fett show. So if you have a D+ or something in there, that's probably what I would give it. Or a D. I'm in between a D+ and a D. It's not good.
Oh Jesus! Between this,
I'll probably give it a D+ because it does have some watchable moments, and Boba Fett and Fennec are good characters to lead their show. But they're not leading their show because there's so many other cameos that are just overstuffing the show.
Okay.
So I'll probably just land on D+.
All right.
It's not good, dude.
C+ for me, D+ for him. I can only imagine what Big B and and Beefalo think about this show.
Yeah, guys, if you're watching this when this goes up on YouTube, let us know in the comments what you guys think. Or just message us on Facebook. We're always here.
Or we'll talk about it real quick when we talk about Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that is our thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett. Not the best read, but it has some moments here and there.
We probably talked about other side stuff probably more than Boba Fett, honestly.
More than Boba Fett himself. Yep.
Which is honestly what the show felt like.
Yeah. But tell us in the comments, what did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? Let us know what you think. So if you guys enjoyed this, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and please hit the bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers. That would be very, very nice. And please subscribe to this handsome man right here, Ruby Grooby. He does gaming, and he does some movie stuff on the side.
That was easy.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. Lily, just click. You're done. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for none.
Easy.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. So the next Star Wars property we will be talking about is the highly anticipated Obi-Wan Kenobi. Tune in for that when it comes out. But that's all we have for you Star Wars fans. And we will see you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.